Hey, you guys, what do you think so far? I want to hear your reaction to it before I tell you mine. Don't do that. You'll have to change that before court on Friday. Oh my goodness. Lady D says she's a professional. LOL, lots of love. Shenanigan maker. I'm thinking, I'm not talking straight. Shenanigan maker says, I'm thinking it's a money making scheme. Ding, 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 ding. Shenanigan maker just eloquently stated exactly what my gut reaction is saying. I'm so disappointed. I was actually thrilled, like in the first 3 minutes, right? The music and the airport and the blue suitcase. And I thought, oh, the blue suitcase would be a great name for the Netflix docudrama. I thought, yeah, you know, maybe it was the music, but I was like, or maybe it's because I'm just tired. But I was like, yeah, this is cool, right? Until I heard the part about $10 a month and it's a website and it's an actual fundraising, nonprofit, right? And they're going to have a spot on that website where you can follow the money so you know where your money is being spent. Really? So wait just a minute. And here's the other thing. I have spent many hours of my life talking with Cindy Watts on the phone. So anytime I hear KK or Lana going, yeah, before us, they just had people that they were, talking to that weren't really professional. Really? Really? You think? I don't know. Underwhelmed is the word, Lady D. Underwhelmed is the word. Let's follow the money. I think that was the term, wasn't it? Follow the money where you'll be able, they're saying they're being transparent. Really? Follow the money? Wait a minute here. And, I don't take sides with either side of the family. I don't take sides. I stand for my opinion that neither side of the family should be getting harassed. But if I was Christopher Watts' in laws, just saying, I might think about pouncing on this BS, quite frankly. I don't want to sound really negative, but they have a judgment against Christopher Watts for something like $6 million. Now, granted, Christopher Watts, it sounds like from what Cindy Watts said, was signing whatever was put in front of him. But the fact remains they have a judgment against Christopher Watts for something like $6 million. So this group is starting a fundraiser of some sort because, the $10 dues, I guess, right? I would be calling my lawyer and asking my lawyer to find out about getting my hands on the $10 payments, quite frankly. Just my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think? Kathy Jo says, I think it will affect CW about as much as our mock trial will. I think so too. I'm disappointed because I really love the way Jays for Justice does her videos. I actually consciously thought, okay, I'm done listening to this because the music was like, you know, that it's like, I don't need that to keep going if you're telling me the truth, right? I don't need to hear this constant. It was cool. The airport scene was great. But what do we have? What do we have? We're back at square one, right? Because remember, when the sister allegedly contacted her good friends in that 24-hour time frame, there were bona fide lawyers offering to help pro bono. And suddenly his sister puts the call out to a bunch of YouTubers and Facebookers, and they walked away from an actual licensed lawyer in the state of Colorado offering to help. There's something fishy going on here, guys. Sister Knife says, wait, I think you are very confused. Sister Knives, I saw your name on the credits in the video. Do you think we're stupid? Seriously? I saw your name running in the credits on the video. I think it's so interesting that you would hop right over here to make sure that you could interject in the conversation. But go ahead, tell us what we're confused about. Please do. For those of you who don't know who Sister Knives is, her name was in the credits of the video. Her real name, or her real life name, or whatever. But go ahead, Sister Knives, tell us, how are we confused? Sister Knives, a lot of people are subscribed to me. And your point. How are we confused? Please do explain. Hopefully we're confused. And you can explain how it is that we're confused. Sure. I'll hold on a minute, Sean's princess. Here you go. Carly says Princess was rude on Jay's too. Who? Shenanigan Maker says drop a link. Carly says I came at her a few times, LOL. Oh, Classy Chick has a nice comment for me. You should seriously consider taking an overdose and ending the pure misery you are obviously in. You are so full of hate. And I'm not going to repeat the last line because I don't do that from evil weirdos. This is what they're made of. You should seriously consider taking an overdose and ending the pure misery. Take a look at this comment, Sean's princess. That's exactly what they're made of.
I want to know who I was rude to on Jays for Justice. I wasn't rude to anybody. I'm trying right now.
I was there the whole time and I didn't see you being rude to anybody either.
Yeah, I wasn't rude to anybody. I was actually complimenting their video and said it looked nice.
Danny Louise, the classy chick comment is exactly how the scumbag attackers have been talking since 2018. It's just you don't see the comments because I pretty much throw them in the trash. But they think it's cool to promote suicide. They think it's cool to try to push their targets to committing suicide. They're a very disgusting, evil group of people.
So what exactly are we paying for, or they're wanting us to pay for?
I'm not sure, but I know it was really, I would say, disappointing.
Yeah.
Because I had it over there really with some optimism that maybe they were actually going to share, you know, what all their hard work, whatever. But when I started hearing Lana going, you know, up until the time that we came along, they were just dealing with people who weren't very professional. Well, you know, I have a feeling Lana thinks she's the flavor of the month or something. But
right.
many professional people were wasting a lot of our time listening to Ronnie and Cindy Watts. And it's just offensive. I think that Christopher Watts' sister has had her hand in this crap from day one. And I think it's just offensive. It's really too bad because I guess if nothing else, Jay does a really good job with making videos.
Yeah. Well, and KK got out just barely and said she didn't want to be involved with Colorado, and it was something that went against her. I know she definitely raises a lot of money too, but maybe this was part of it.
Right. And the idea that they're going to be charging $10 a month for information, and then they use the word transparency. I don't get that.
I don't understand what's all entitled to that $10 a month. I thought we were going over there to see a video of them seeking counsel to get Chris 35C, and now
exactly.
we're looking for what?
For their website, for their money-making website. Well, I'm sorry, for their nonprofit website. She kept saying the nonprofit, But I'll tell you something, and I'm not an advocate for either side of the family. I am an advocate for people to not be harassed. So it may come across that I'm a total advocate for the Watts. I'm not, but that's only because they're getting harassed. But if I were the Rusek family, I would be sicking my lawyers on what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Because they have a judgment against Christopher Watts for $6 million. And if I was the Rusek family, I would be saying, check into this because there's something fishy going on.
Right. I would advise all of you, nobody to join, but that's just my personal opinion.
I think it's something other than what we were led to believe it was going to be.
I do too, absolutely. So I definitely will not be signing up.
It's really too bad too, because if Ronnie actually did leave his house and drive to the airport and fly out there, for what? I don't know.
That's what I want to know. And I kept waiting for more video, and that was it? I don't understand.
And what was the part in that one video where she said, do you have experience with marketing or something? What was that? Was that supposedly a lawyer they're hiring?
What was that? When you were talking to Ronnie or the gentleman in the bar?
The gentleman in the bar.
Oh, I missed that part.
She said something. She said something like, "Do you have experience with marketing or something like that?" That I thought, what? What, they're hiring a marketing rep or what? I don't know. It seemed odd.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then I just remember at the very end of talking to him, she was like, "Just remember, you saw us here first or heard it here first." Like, what is this, AD? You saw it here first?
Exactly.
Hey, Shenanigan Maker.
Can you hear us, Shenanigan Maker? I can't hear her. Can you hear her?
It sounds like she's cutting in and out.
Wanda Rose says, I think Lana is hiring a public relations person to try to swing public opinion.
Much
I don't
Shenanigan
know.
Maker, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We heard, can you
hear me now?
Oh, I can hear her.
I can't. Try again. I can't hear. Now I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Cosmic, I'm
Let's
saying I
ramble
believe
and
it's a
shit.
scam. I believe it's a scam.
Jessica said, what was her last name? It was something like Oriani or something.
Oriani is very close to Sandy's maiden last name. I've always thought that was very weird. Isn't Sandy's last name like Honorati or something? Lana's has always been really close to it.
Yeah, I think Lana said her name was Oriani.
Yeah.
Tipsy Toe says, hey, everyone.
That's what I'm saying. KK said that she wanted to drop out due to something, and I'm wondering if this is why she wanted to drop out.
Exactly. Well, you know, KK did the same thing that Lana's doing, though, acting like anybody before her just didn't know what they were talking about.
Very
In fact,
true.
they had actual licensed lawyers offering to help pro bono. And then Jamie got on the phone and got these people involved. And they're further behind months later, many months later. What, 4 months? Almost 5 months?
Yes.
And they're further behind.
And I'm pissed. I've sat for the last, 24, 48 hours waiting to see this awesome documentary. And I feel like I just got done watching a donate to, homelesspets.org. And they play that in the arms of the angel music. Like, what the hell did I just sit and watch?
Exactly. And it's the middle of the night. Back in the olden days, they used to play the, adopt a child, send $5 a month routine. Yeah, feed a family for $5 a month.
Yes. And my fiance, bless his heart, when I first got with him, we were going through the bills, like he was donating to all of these charities and he literally thought he was helping people. And then we were reading the small print and it's like, oh, it only goes to this company so they can build. And it literally seems what that site was tonight. What the hell?
Exactly. I mean, let's go ahead and have our own, right? We just have to figure out how to play some good music in the background. And let's go ahead and say, hey, give us $10 a month. We'll build a website. We'll put all the information that Miss Mensa's channel is talking about, right? We'll go ahead and upload. And the whole idea of her pulling that Shenanigan Maker comment here, let me know what you think. But I literally laughed out loud when she was talking about her binders. She said that. I laughed so hard. I couldn't believe it because what she's talking about was about 5 years ago. Am I right, Shenanigan Maker, or no?
Trying to get my broadcast studio set up.
I wonder how much it cost her to fly all those binders to Denver.
Well, and the whole idea that lawyers are carting in piles of binders, that was back for the Jodi Arias trial, but pretty much since the Arias trial, lawyers have gone a little more techno than that.
Yes.
Like a lot more techno than that. Watch any recent trial. They're not carting in the binders like that anymore, Lana. You might want to watch a more recent trial before you try copying them.
Yeah, Shenanigan Maker, you're in the court every day. You can tell us.
Oh,
Do
I
you keep
carry in a
binders?
backpack with like 50 binders at a time, and then I've got my briefcase, and I'm just like cameling it in there, just loaded down.
Oh man.
It's what all attorneys do.
Well, more and more they're using their laptops and their
I was
little
being
thumb
sarcastic. I don't
drives.
bring shit.
Right, no, I'm talking to chat. Because for Lana to sit there, on February 27th of 2021, and basically talk down to everybody in the chat, in this video by explaining how that's how lawyers do it. Well, guess what, Lana? That isn't how lawyers do it. So
Here's the thing.
seriously,
She wants so bad to have a JD behind her name.
I know it. I'm thinking that maybe she has like test anxiety and she never made it back past the LSATs. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe
I
her
don't
score.
know.
I don't know. She has like test anxiety.
Oops, sorry. But yeah, it's I don't know. She
It's
wants it
offensive.
bad. It is offensive.
And it's also scary to think that Ronnie and Cindy Watts are wasting any of their time or energy with people like that, because Lana just convinced me with that binder comment alone that she doesn't have a flippin' clue what she's talking about. And that makes me question anything that she has said so far.
Well,
Right.
it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with that guy, that Larry guy, that kind of like, he doesn't necessarily say I'm a practicing attorney, or I'm a member of the bar, but he doesn't necessarily go out of his way to say that he's not.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, and he was
Exactly.
getting bashed for a while on a certain channel, and then the other night he was saying, you guys bash all these people or you like all these people, and then you find out they're fake. And he's like, I've never claimed to know anybody, and I've been bashed. And I wanted to say, bullshit, you've never claimed to know anybody.
Well,
You claimed to know
isn't he-
somebody in the case in the very beginning.
Exactly. Isn't he the one that said that the DA was related to
Yes.
NK, or
Yes,
that
he
had
said there's a huge cover up, and one of his friends, who's so-called isn't his friend anymore, and he's always said, I'm not going to say his name or whatever, but back when the case was going on, he contacted his friend that lived in Denver that was working on the case, and his friend was telling him, oh, this case is so corrupt, and this is going on, and that's going on, and now he's saying he's never tried to say he knew anybody, or writes Chris Watts. Well, you're kind of claiming that you did know somebody.
I like what Patty said in chat. I'm kind of embarrassed for her. She's like a kid playing pretend lawyer. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
It's like when you're little and you're playing house, or, you're playing teacher, and you get up and you do like all the motions, but you don't know what the F you're doing.
Exactly. And her little notebook presentation is epic, because the same with KK. When KK first came on, I think it was her first live chat, she said people wanted to know her credentials, but that her credentials don't really matter. What matters is that, according to KK, is that she knows people who do have credentials. And then she proceeded to talk like she was going to be sitting at the second chair at the trial that obviously is never going to take place now that they've chosen to take this path.
Right.
So why do all these people think that to play attorney you have to have a big ass binder?
I'm wondering.
Well, like, does that automatically like do you pass your bar exam when you show up with a big ass binder? I mean,
I don't know. I'm gonna go scroll the court tomorrow and see how many binders I find.
I mean, I could do that. I could do that too. I could just go buy a whole bunch of loose leaf and put it in a binder and walk in and be like, "Oh, credentials, bitches."
Staples, here I come. Yeah.
Exactly.
She grew up, like maybe somebody in her family was a lawyer, like her grandma, and so she remembers like going to her grandma's in the 80s and seeing a bunch of binders. Who the hell knows?
I don't know.
Exactly.
But I mean, you know what? You don't even have it. Even if you are that like untech savvy, you still would not have, I mean, yeah, like you'd keep things in binders, but like when I'm jotting shit down, I've got my legal pad, which like why would I need a 3-ring hole punch when my legal pad is all connected?
Well, and also your trial binder is your trial binder.
Right.
There's a big difference between that and carding, and I think I think that she was hooked on the Jodi Arias trial, and she thought that Jennifer lawyer was really a role model for her, and I think she's probably kind of
Hey guys, guys, do you think she has a rolling backpack? Nerd.
I bet she does.
I bet she does.
I bet she does too.
So wait, there was a GoFundMe.
I bet she's got some really cool keychains too.
I bet that follow the money tab that they have, where you're going to be able to see where your $10 a month goes, because they're so transparent. I bet that they're probably paying Staples like $1,000 a month or something.
Oh yeah. So like, okay, this is who she reminds me of. When I was in college, I met this guy that was not in college, and he told me this story, and I've never forgotten it. We were at a Thai restaurant, and he was telling me a story about how he lost his car, and like he couldn't find his car anywhere, and he was driving down the road one day, and he was just thinking in his head, he was like, man, I lost all those really cool, what are they called, stickers or whatever, what is it, like the decals people put on cars?
A bumper sticker?
Yes, that's what he said. He goes, man, I don't give a shit about that car, but I've lost all those badass bumper stickers. But that's like what she reminds of, like, maybe I shouldn't say that. Like the kind of like stonerish, like, man, those were some really badass bumper stickers.
So I know they had a GoFundMe before they left. I don't know where it like I never did see it. Does anyone know how much money they got or they were asking for to go to Colorado?
What? They took money to go to Colorado?
No, you lie.
No, I swear to God, they had a GoFundMe to go to Colorado. So that's what I'm wondering. What the hell did we people pay for? Like, I don't understand.
The GoFundMe was hashtag help me, I'm poor.
It was help us get to Colorado. We need to get this 35C for Chris. And oh God, I wish I could remember.
That sounds like something you need to pocket out of your own wallet.
Right. So they've already taken a certain amount of money to fund their trip, and now they're asking for more money. And I just don't get it. Like, if you guys want to donate, go ahead. I'm not gonna tell you not to. I'm not doing it, and I don't think it's a good idea to do it.
So they're mirroring Frankie's actions now?
Right, exactly.
I'm on the GoFundMe site searching. I don't find one yet. That's why I'm quiet. I'm plugging in different names.
GoFundMe. Bumblebee says nobody funded their trip. Okay, so was there a GoFundMe, but they didn't get enough money?
Oh, that's, what is it? Jen Lou said in chat, she said, beyond the binders, if she's president of the company on a website, she has access to your credit card information. But what stuck out on that comment to me is president of the company. I mean, talk about some grandiose.
Well,
bullshit.
And when you're talking a nonprofit, she was very clear to say it was a nonprofit. Those aren't created in 10 days or 30 days.
Right.
Those take some time to create them. So what scheme has been planned, and for how long, and by how
long
many?
has it been going on?
Yeah, something's not right. Like, my spidey senses are saying F no.
And also, you don't have a president of a company for a nonprofit either.
Right.
Okay, Bumblebee says Lana and Ronnie had nothing to do with any GoFundMe. Okay, Bumblebee, did Jay have a GoFundMe, or did one of them have a GoFundMe out? That's what I had heard.
I looked up on register.com, or not on register.com. I looked up on the Who Is .com to see who purchased the website, and it's anonymous.
Oh,
I
You know.
before I went to watch the J thing, I clicked on Alice Cooper, and she's got a GoFundMe up right now on her live.
for what?
I didn't take the time to look, but
I think
Oh my
they're
God.
promoting somebody who she had on there the other day, probably, who is claiming she's in an abusive relationship and she needs to buy food for her family.
And that will work out just as good as that J Bell did for her. Did you hear about that?
the what?
The lady J Bells.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
Is that the one who she said that she was a liar?
yes. So years ago, this J Bell, she was a part of Alice Cooper's channel, and she was in their book reading club and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, she claimed that her husband died while she was pregnant, and then she went into labor and just all this stuff. But I remember we did like virtual baby shower for this lady and all this stuff, and for years. And now she's come out to New York and she's visited Mommy Ramblings and her crew, and they've given her money for tons of things. Well, come out, I guess I only knew of Mommy Ramblings when the case started. So what, 2.5 years now? On Christmas, she claimed that they found out that girl was fake. She was a complete con.
What? They made
Yes.
her up? Just like total fabrication?
No, she was real. Like, she was a real person, but all her stories were lies. She didn't have a baby that died. She didn't have a husband that died. It's completely messed up. And she conned Mommy Ramblings and her crew for like 2.5 years.
Ooh, SW number 2.
Right. So now I find it hard to believe that Alice Cooper's got a GoFundMe for somebody. Yeah, because they said they were never going to trust anybody ever again. And I mean, just like that, this lady was a friend and basically part of their family for 2.5 years.
Well, I'll take it a step further, and I'll question whether or not Alice Cooper was blind to the previous scam.
Yeah. You know,
Right.
I've maybe only watched 3 of Alice Cooper's videos, and I must have just like hit the hot buttons because I got the biggest shit shows I've ever seen. And one of them was her in the shower crying about a phone call from her son's phone number. That was one. And then the second one was where some of her quote unquote fans met her at Cracker Barrel, and her fans said that she wouldn't even sit with them. She said she was like too famous to sit with.
No, I saw that video.
And she even quoted like how many followers.
No. I saw that video and she was joking around. It was an older lady saying with another one, saying she won't sit with us. She's too. Yeah, no, that was a joke. I will play devil's advocate here. That was a joke.
Well, it does seem like something she would do.
I'm glad it was a joke, though. That is good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a complete joke. Her friends were just goofing off. I just saw that recently because I was going back to see, because I heard of J Bells and I remember thinking, God, this woman's got horrible luck. So I, over the years I've left and I didn't talk to any of them anymore. But then I hear that she claimed she had a brain tumor and she was gonna die and all this. She's even flown to Alice's house and stayed at her lake house, her guest house, and her kids gave her some of their stuffed animal toys. And Alice's husband, I guess what was really sad is he said, I just want my prayers back because they prayed for her. And I mean, that's just for people.
Well, when I heard about the new one, when she was on the phone talking, she was like whispering because the abuser was right in the next room evidently, and saying she needed food. And when I heard that going on, I actually thought to myself that might have been the same lady who they were dealing with before.
I don't know. So the
Maybe
lady
it's just,
scam them was in London.
Well, maybe it's just the same scam, different day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Minzy, I've got a question. Have you ever looked into when the last time the 35C motion was filed in Colorado and the motion was granted?
Are you asking me? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was a question.
I thought she was asking somebody in chat.
No.
I thought you said Mindy or something. I thought,
No. I forgot to verbalize my question.
We're just sitting here waiting.
I thought maybe Mindy was Sean's princess's name or something. Way to go. You just doxed your friend. I haven't looked at that, but I have considered the fact that even talking about a 35C in this case is ridiculous.
Well,
if they're going to talk about any... Oh, okay. Good.
And do you know how hard it is to find any 35C that has been granted upon multiple motions?
As in never?
As in never.
Well, the thing that I think, this whole 35C baloney is that they came right out saying they're calling it an appeal and they're treating a 35C as if it's going to get them a full trial. And they're actually treating a 35C as if they're going to be able to start from scratch with the investigation.
Right.
That isn't what a 35C...
There's nothing about investigation involved in a 35C. And
right.
Okay, the only way that anything would come about with investigation would be if there was new evidence that they came up with, whatnot. But like we're doing in the mock trial, we're not going to be, going step by step as if we're doing the trial over. It's not a redo. It's you're going back to the same court. You're not going to a higher court, and you're. I'm trying to think of how to say it in kind of layman's terms. It has to do with constitutional rights, and it's just a completely different process.
Here's something that seems kind of sinister on its face, but let me know what you think of this. You know how we're talking about the statute of limitations?
Mm-hmm.
There were lesser charges that did have a limit. Okay.
Right, but not with Chris's charge. With Chris's charge, there's no limit.
With the more serious ones, but with the disposing of the bodies, I think there were 2-year limitations, right?
Right, yeah.
The weirdness, the circus, the sister calling her quote unquote friends, and the Watts decision to walk away from people who were actually helping them, they burned valuable time by doing so.
Right.
Because you can, let's all go to Dream World and say that he gets a new trial.
Right.
And let's just say that he is totally exonerated. He's found not guilty of murdering anybody. Well, guess what? He's already convicted and sentenced for disposing of the bodies.
Right.
Which means he'll still spend the rest of his life in prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's
they
like...
definitely were doing something in Colorado, and whether they've let us know now or not, they were doing something with the law there. And I don't think it was getting this website together. I'm
beginning to wonder if they didn't gather around and make their noise right at the time frame to make sure that he wasn't able to file within the 2-year statute.
I don't know.
It sounds nasty. It sounds mean. But maybe that's what they're here for, is to make enough noise so that he totally screwed up his chances of getting in under that 2-year limit.
When is his time up to file?
It was up last November.
So I think it's that, like, a class 1 felony is no limit, and then all other felony charges are 3 years.
Is it 3 or is it 2?
It's 3, I believe.
And I think he can get enough evidence together that they haven't shown us. I honestly think he could, I know he's not going to be free, but I think he has a chance to get his charges lowered. And a lot of people say, well, what's the point of that? Like, he's still going to be in prison for life. But if my wife or somebody else killed my kids and I took the fall for it, I would damn well want to prove later that it was not me. You know what I mean?
So with the time, if the time passes, let me see. The only reasons that he could, see.
Bumblebee
I'm
made
searching
sure
for
that
The only way that
he
would
took her
still be able
files
to
to
bring
Colorado for a reason.
the only reason he would still be able to bring the 35C motion up if that time had passed would be if the court that convicted Chris did not have jurisdiction over the defendant. I'm trying to think what the other. God, I can't.
Bumblebee, you're right. Lana did take her files to Colorado for a reason. So despite what they're doing tonight or whatever the stupid ass website or MLM, they're doing something behind the scenes.
Okay, I just
here
checked.
it is. The defendant would have to have missed the deadline because of adjudicated incompetent or circumstances that caused the defendant to miss the deadline amounted to justifiable excuses or excusable neglect. But so basically there's only three ways that if he missed the deadline that he could go back and refile.
Okay, I just checked and you're exactly right. It's 3 years for all others. So then go back to my question of whether or not they're making noise in order to have him use up valuable time.
Right.
Because if he's filing a valid appeal, and I'm not talking about a 35C, if he's filing a valid appeal, then he damn well better tell his parents to stop playing games, tell his sister to stop telling his parents what to do. I think, in my opinion, I think that's exactly what has happened. I think Lana confirmed it also with the whole Jamie connection again. And he needs to decide whether or not he wants to file an appeal, and if so, he needs to get a lawyer.
The thing is that you have to be ready. I mean, a client has to be ready, and I don't think that Chris is ready. I think there's too much noise right now. I think there's too much going on in the background for him to have a clear thought. I think that he has not found an attorney that fits right for Chris.
I think that the noise is intentional, and I think that the lawyers who have lined up to help, I think his own family has gotten in the way of him even being able to hear about it.
But then again, I honestly really think a lot of it has to do with the PTSD and trauma and everything just sitting over him. He can't have a clear thought, and he can't process. I mean, and it's not like he can go to psychiatrists, talk it out. I mean, he's having to deal with this himself.
Right. I don't know. This is so frustrating. Like, I do want justice for this damn case. And yeah, it's so frustrating I don't know what the hell they're doing. But everything's so, everybody's so backstabbing. If somebody says they're for Chris, you can tell they're against him. And if they're acting like they're against him, they're for him. And, I think a lot of these channels that have come out and these, like the KK channel, I think it's to make noise and get us distracted onto something else.
And the question remains, why on earth would his own sister advise her parents to walk away from pro bono lawyers?
I mean, do you think I mean, how could you be jealous of this kind of attention? But I mean, I can't really think of any other reason.
Well,
she's wanted to stay quiet, so
well,
I don't.
the people who were involved right at the start, and KK and Lana both admit being involved right at the start, there was something fishy about a fundraiser, and I don't know the details of it, but I know there was something fishy about a fundraiser and those Facebook groups and the Watts family. Could it be that the sister is either convinced that she did something wrong or may have done something wrong, so she actually doesn't want a full investigation to go on?
Right.
Very possible.
But the thing is that would be completely irrelevant to 35C.
That's
But
fair.
not in her mind. Not in her mind.
Yeah.
She may be of the belief that she wants the attention off of it. You know, why would it have happened within 24 hours of an actual lawyer stepping up to the plate?
Right, but nothing that Jamie does or has done or could do would have anything to do with Chris Watts' constitutional rights.
I don't know.
I agree with you, but if it's true that she heard from her mother and father the good news that lawyers were lining up to help pro bono, and within 24 hours they walked away from the people they had trusted for so long, from the lawyers offering pro bono, and they started with the KK show, and then Lana came on her heels, and they're both claiming an allegiance to Jamie and a connection with Jamie. There's something up.
Yeah, definitely.
And the time frame now, we're into, the end of February, we're starting March soon. If they're going to file any appeal by November, a good appeals lawyer with experience needs to already be working on it.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the grounds for post-conviction relief would be the defendant's conduct was illegal. I wonder if, like, in some weird kind of convoluted way, like Jamie puts herself. I mean, I don't know, but
no, that's what I'm saying. I think there's something there, whether or not it's true or not. I think that Jamie is believing that she's somehow exposed. Mm-hmm. If this follows, because otherwise I can't think of any scenario where Ronnie and Cindy would have walked away from people they trusted to play along with this circus.
Honestly, I think that the only grounds that would, I actually think that there's quite a few grounds that Chris could use for post-conviction relief, but his best shot would be ineffective assistance. I think that would be his only real shot.
And you're talking an appeal, not a 35C, correct?
No, that's grounds for 35C.
It is grounds for a 35C, but what good would a 35C be?
Well, I guess it wouldn't.
Where I feel like an appeal, and granted it's a sliver of a chance, but if he's going to file an appeal, and based on ineffective counsel, of course, and due process issues, there are a couple of those too. Based on those grounds, I think go for an appeal, right? But do it within that time frame.
But he's already maxed out his time.
Has he though? You said 3 years.
He's got 3 years, so this November?
For the 35C.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Oh, you're talking appeal time.
Right.
Okay, well then it would be a huge, not only the due process, but I think he would have to write on the alleged maltreatment that he received, the violations of his rights pre and post.
Right.
It would be a sensational.
All legal tonight. Just what Wanda said. I honestly thought we were going to see this turned over to lawyers tonight. I thought the same. I thought this was all legal. This is something good, and there were so many people that were pissed off and mad. And I was like, yes, like we finally need this. And just, it's another freaking disappointment. It's another tease. Like, what is up with these channels lately?
I wonder if they're trying to bank on the new evidence of material facts.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
They think they are, but they don't realize how it isn't about facts at this point.
Right.
Well,
They
there's
don't
a
realize
video out.
Well, except
and
if they can come up with new evidence of material facts.
Well, don't blur it with the 35C though, because personally, I think the 35C is forget it. But you know,
Right.
if we're talking about that sliver of a chance on an appeal, an actual appeal, then the facts don't matter. You know, we're kind of conflating the two because.
Well, I thought that he. I don't know. Maybe I'm confused.
Well, I'm not sure either, but I think that if we're looking at the appeal itself, any appeal, any hope of an appeal, and I'm not sitting here saying he'll get an appeal. So for all the people who want to create videos tomorrow saying I'm saying he's getting an appeal, I'm not saying that.
I hope he gets an appeal too. Like
But that sliver of a chance, that little sliver of a chance that he may have ever gotten an appeal would be if he has an actual bona fide lawyer who has been working on it and who is prepared, experienced, knowledgeable, the whole bit. They can show a video of his wife committing all of it at this point, and if they don't have a well-written appeal, it's not going to matter. Facts don't matter at this point. What matters at this point is the law. And that's what, I mean, I'm looking at the KK Lana whatever routine at this point saying it's all just noise in order to keep him from actually, or to keep his family from actually working toward any possibility of an appeal.
Exactly. And you want to know something creepy? There's a tarot card reader out there. She's got a small channel. I just stumbled upon it the other night. She has found a video that Shanann did in 2017, and it's kind of funny and ironic that Joey has played it in her little series. But we're 50% sure that Lana is in that video, but 99.9% sure Kim K is in that video talking to Shanann. Like, how freaking crazy is that?
Right. And it was at one of the MLM things, I think, right?
Yes. And you can, just because Kim has been around for so long and we all know her voice very well, you can tell I'm like, literally, I would pay money to bet it is her. And I've watched that video or that clip. It's a long ass video, but I've watched that clip over and over. And the girl will even go back and forth between Kim's video, so you can hear her real voice, and then back to Shanann's video. And if you close your eyes, you literally can't tell which one is which. Like, it is her. It is Kim.
Right. The only problem I have with that is they have created a lot of garbage using, you know, voices and voiceovers and whatever. So I don't really know. I'm not that techno savvy, so I don't know what all they can do, but I know they have already shown that they're not below doing it.
That is true. I thought of that, but it looks like she's got the real footage, because I went back and found that video later, and it sounds exactly like her. It's another girl talking at a party, or it's not really a party. Looks like a Tupperware party, but it's like they're tasting Thrive bars. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is possible somebody's used a voice.
Well, one of the attacker channels created a video with a voice that sounded just like mine, leaving a threatening voicemail. And then he said, "Help us identify who this is." So of course everyone's like, "That sounds just like Miss Mensa," you know, and it was not me at all. And then following that, Set the Record Straight did a video showing the threatening text messages from that very creator, and titled it something like, "Help us identify who this person is." And then we haven't been attacked by that idiot ever since.
That is
so, you know,
I guess if somebody knew who, like, what Kim looked like, they could say in that video if that is her or not. Because it's a it's a video. It's not just audio, but
Tipsy Toast has a really good idea. Miss M, want to fly out to Colorado and record it and tell everyone that we're going to get the 35C, because that's basically all they did.
yes,
That's what they are selling.
we're going to do that. And everybody, this Friday, we're starting court, and it's $10 to participate, okay?
Well, and I'm a real estate broker too, so before we go, I can line up a showing on the house, and we'll go ahead and tour the house. And then I'll bring along my plumber buddy, and he can go ahead and get some evidence from the drains and from the toilet that was, dry.
That sounds perfect. Oh my God. What did they do?
We could take swabs of that wax that was on the railing too.
There you go.
Hey, Mindy.
We could spend more time in.
Do you know in Chris's plea deal, did he waive his rights to an appeal?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's not even an option anyway.
That's why I say it isn't about the facts, it's about the law, because the only way I think they could do it is if he could really show both.
Evidence,
Right.
That they haven't found before.
If he could show both
earlier.
I think he would have to show maltreatment by the system every step of the way.
Right.
And that's where a good psychologist would be handy, if he could suddenly, get to the point where he's able and willing to face whatever his experience was. But again, I think all of this is just what I call the circus. I think they're just trying to burn up this first 3 years then.
I mean, he would have only have had 42 days to file an appeal anyway.
Well, I'm talking about the idea that he would have been maltreated, the mistreatment, the maltreatment. Right. And that's kind of a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's his only possible chance. The judge did an excellent job of getting everything on the record that he needed to.
Yeah. Well, and plus, wouldn't this have to be by Chris? So wouldn't this be going in Wisconsin, not Colorado?
No, it's Colorado. It's his Colorado state case.
Oh, but to file like the initial paperwork to
nope, it's Colorado.
Oh. Well, how does he do that then?
No, it has to go back to the original. It has to go back to the court, the original court.
Oh wow!
Right, it was never a Wisconsin case ever. He's just lodged there. That's all.
There for his safety.
Yeah, wow. This is really disappointing because I thought for sure with Ronnie Watts being involved that they were actually at least earnestly trying to find a lawyer, I guess, but.
Right, exactly. That's what I thought too. I really got my hopes up again.
Which makes no sense considering they already had lawyers offering. So, what is really sad about this is that it makes me begin to believe that maybe Ronnie, I don't know, can Ronnie and Cindy be this naive? I don't know. It's sad.
I guess.
Did they personally speak to any attorneys?
Oh,
who knows?
But none that you know of, or not the one that you brought forth.
No. When they pulled the crap that they pulled, I actually contacted that one and told him everything. And he said, "Thank you very much for telling me."
Right.
I called him off big time as soon as I caught wind of what was going on, because there's no way that I'm going to be any part of asking him to help when I saw what was going on.
Right.
But no, the one that Mark had already offered like the day before, the one that I was speaking with said that he was going to spend that weekend taking a closer look at a couple of other things.
Mm-hmm.
And when Cindy called me out of the blue and said, "I just want to say thank you," I thought, something's up. What's going on? Because that just was so weird for her to say it like that I thought, boy, there's something up. And I looked, and sure enough, the KK Circus had just come to town. The Shannon there was Shannon, Kelly, and KK all within 24 hours. And I sent her an email and I said, what is going on? What are you doing? And she was like, oh, you know. And I said, this is ridiculous. You have help, you know, for your son. Why are you doing this? What's going on? And she said, I'm sorry you feel that way.
What?
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry you feel that way. Yeah.
That's odd.
Well, have you ever talked with have you ever spoken with Cindy?
No. No. I've just heard her, but I've never talked to her in person, no.
She comes across as being incredibly naive.
Mm-hmm.
Very naive, to where you almost feel like, how can you be so naive at your age? It's really kind of difficult sometimes to.
Do you think it's all of the shock and everything she's gone through over the years, or?
I thought that at first, but after what has occurred in the last few months, I have no idea what to believe anymore.
Yeah.
I know that I've wasted a lot of my time in speaking with her because I kind of kept circling the same track. And I had this, I guess, an interesting communication with another channel creator who spent a lot of time trying to help them with the victim advocacy forms and whatnot, because they were saying they weren't getting any help from the Victims Fund. So this other channel creator claims that she spent many, many days, and she and another person, the two of them, were helping them with these victim forms.
Right.
All they had to do was sign the forms. That's all they had to do, because they complain all the time that they didn't get reimbursed for anything and stuff. And so they went through they jumped through the hoops for them, and then all they had to do was sign the form and they would have been helped, and they never signed the form. And that channel creator said to me how it really upsets her that she wasted so much of her time. And
that's what I keep hearing, is that all these people have been advocates and they've tried to help and they've gotten attorneys and everything, but the Watts just turns them away.
Well, what they do is they lead them on. In my situation, Ronnie and Cindy both were on speakerphone asking me to please help them find a lawyer for their son.
Mm-hmm.
They were both asking me to please help them find a lawyer for their son. The way I look at it at this point, seeing the crap they're pulling, and I'm sorry, Ronnie and Cindy, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. But I think that they should be reimbursing each and every one of us who they have been lying to for the time that we have spent. They should be reimbursing us. Just, if they want to present themselves as being of high moral, character, whatever, they have led so many people on with this victim routine. And, you hit a point where you have to say they're not victims in this. If they're going to be hopping on a plane and going to Colorado, none of this makes sense. I don't know. I feel like just kind of like screaming it from the mountaintop or something. They already had lawyers offering. Mark Gillespie had a lawyer offering pro bono. So what are they doing? They're dinking around. Why are they doing it? How much of that website money are they going to get in their pocket? How much of that money is going to go into Chris's, whatever it's called, commissary, whatever it's called? And, the Ruseks are not my favorite people, but I'll tell you, if I was the Ruseks, I'm not kidding. I'd be calling my lawyer and saying, here's another money-making scheme, from people saying that they're tight.
I'm sure they have. If there's any dollar bill out there, the Ruseks will be on it. And I'm like you. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff they've done and said. I've always, my heart's always been with Ronnie and Cindy, and
my heart has always been with Ronnie and Cindy until this turn. It's weird. Even after the thing with the KK thing, I was still kind of warming up again, thinking, oh, they're just naive. They're just naive. But if Ronnie's hopping on a plane and going out there, what are, maybe the lawyer who already offered to help them would help them. Like, what? This is making no sense at all. And when something makes no sense at all, you begin to realize that you're being duped.
Right.
Wanda says you can only feign ignorance for so long. It has me kind of wondering, are they just burning up the third year?
It could be. It definitely could be. Maybe they know that there's no chance in hell that he can get anything done, and so they're just, or they're just trying to. I don't know what the. I just want to throw my arms up and be like, what the fuck? Like, oh, sorry, I don't want the F word on your channel. I apologize.
or if, I guess too, I've heard Cindy's cries. I've heard her.
Right.
What I've thought for a long time, sincere cries. She just wants to know the truth, right? That's what she keeps saying. So
Exactly.
why are they taking part in any of this if she just wants to know the truth? Why are they doing this? And I can't think of any reason.
Right. I don't know. It's so frustrating. It's made me think a million thoughts. Like, are they just, so fed up with everything that now they're like, okay, these YouTube, they can get me a lot of money by pretending to do this. I'm just going to go for it. Like, they look at it that they've lost their lives already anyway. Like, what else have they got to lose? Is that maybe where they're at? They're at their breaking point.
Yeah, but I don't think their life is that disrupted as we think. I don't. Shanann and Chris were not that big of a part of their lives. It's her daughter and son-in-law who are like the biggest part.
Right.
So I don't know. That sounds kind of crude. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, everybody believes different things. I've gotten a lot of hate over the years because I have so much sympathy for Ronnie and Cindy, but then I hear stuff like this and it's like, it's kind of a wake-up call. It's like, are they doing things and they're just, we've just been blind to it?
Well, I'm actually beginning to think that Cindy is probably the biggest victim of all.
Yeah.
Well, besides Bella and Cece, but I think that I just don't trust their daughter. I don't trust her. And I'm beginning now not to trust Ronnie.
Right.
And think about it. I don't think we've heard Cindy saying anything at all.
No, and as far as I had heard, Cindy was on that trip. I mean, yeah, we only did see, 3 minutes of their GoPro, which we know there's a hell of a lot more, but where is it? Lana went and bought a GoPro specifically for this trip. So where the hell's the rest of this documentary?
What is a GoPro?
It's a camera that, like a hands-free camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she was in Cooter's live. She was in his chat, and we were telling her to come up. And she was like, I'm out buying a GoPro right now. And people were asking her what it's called. And she kept saying it's a camera. And she had to get the extra, extra large strap because her boobs are so big, blah, blah, blah. But everyone was saying it's for this trip specifically. So now I'm wondering what the hell did they do the whole time they were there?
I didn't know that Lana was in Cooter's chat. That's interesting.
Yeah, she was in his chat for, I can't remember how long it was. I haven't seen all of his videos. I've only seen, I think, maybe 1.5. It might have been his first live. She was in the chat for a few minutes. People were asking her, go up on panel, go up. And it was literally, she was buying her GoPro at the time.
So maybe they went out there and actually met with a lawyer who had offered to do it for free.
Very possible.
But if so, it seems like they would have said so. And I take that back. Because
But they
if they
can't
went out there,
because then they can't get money from us.
if they went out there and met with an actual lawyer who was licensed in Colorado to handle an appeal for him, the
Mhm.
first thing the lawyer is going to say is, you need to go home and stop talking about the case. That, you know, the lawyer is not going to want a YouTuber to be making videos.
So Bumblebee said that she messaged me. She said that Lana stated what they had for the 35C, and she's put it on in the chat. I don't know if we want to like scroll up to one of her comments.
Oh, she put in this chat, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
scrolling.
It's probably pretty far up.
This says Heather and AD are full of poop. Did you say Bumblebee?
Yeah, Bumblebee.
Okay. This one says, I'm not repeating myself again.
So it's got to be above that.
Okay. All of the Watts are all on board with the 35C. Well, that's good for them because they're wasting their time and energy. And I think Jamie knows it.
I'm trying to scroll up too and see.
They did This Is the Girl. Let's see here. Mel's Bells has posted like 6 comments in a row of nothing.
Yeah, I don't know who that person is.
I don't either.
Okay, so she wrote at 1047, Lana told you what reason they had for the 35C, so it's got to be above that.
Did they know that the percentage for 35C is like -1%?
Exactly. Exactly.
What did you say, Helen?
Just for an appeal, it's like 5%. So think of an appeal like a million times harder. You're at like -1%. That's your chances for the 35C.
Wow.
Okay, here's the Bumblebee one. The website is for you to follow the process and real-time NJ in the podcast. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see.
I was
Jay told
quiet
you
for a
they
minute.
had a
Hard
good
to say.
And watch the chat.
I was taking time. I was reading on case law, and I got sucked in.
I don't know if I'm going the right way or not.
I do see it one where she says, I know the lawyer's name. Don't ask who, as I'm not saying, but there are lawyers. So according to Bumblebee, they do have lawyers.
Well, if they have lawyers, then they might want to think about getting lawyers who would advise them to tell Lana to stop it. I don't know, Chatterbox. That's funny. Shenanigan Maker, if you took a case, would you meet with Lana?
Well, I mean, I guess if she was paying my retainer.
But what would your advice be if, hypothetically speaking, if you were
I wouldn't
to
speak to her at all.
Exactly.
No,
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
either.
be giving her. I wouldn't be giving her advice. I mean,
Exactly.
She can pay me for advice, but I'm not going to speak to her.
Well, and honestly, if they are doing this, they shouldn't be going through YouTube. They should be doing this, as private as possible.
That's just a stunt. I mean, that's all it is. It's a scheme. Or
Right.
you would. I mean, what is the point of bringing it on YouTube?
Well, and the very first thing they're going to want to do is to be sure to instruct whoever's sitting before them that they're not the client.
Right.
There's a relationship issue there, that they're not the client. They need to shut it up and stay out of it and not expect any answers.
Well, I mean, as an attorney, there's like no greater way to fuck over your client than to have someone like Lana sitting in your client chair.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly right. And that's why I say it's the $1 million question. Why would his own sister be contacting KK and Lana and Kelly and Shannon and all of the other friends that she's gathered up over the last 2 years. Why?
It's like
Why?
it's like she is going out of her way to intentionally line up a team of non-attorneys.
To sabotage her brother.
Right.
And her parents.
Because
Here's something.
it would not be hard to put together, as KK likes to put it, a panel of attorneys. It would not be hard to put together a panel of attorneys if they're just wanting advice. But to put together a team of internet wannabe crime sleuths is, I mean,
I think they're wannabe paralegals is what they are. I don't even think they're paralegals. I think they're wannabe paralegals. And I think a lot of paralegals do believe that they know more than the lawyer.
Oh, my paralegal will tell you she knows more.
It's just like when you go to the hospital, how many have you had nurses that try and diagnose you? Not the doctor, but the nurses.
But listen, don't talk down about paralegals, because I, honest to God, think paralegals do know probably more than we do.
That could be
I
true.
agree that I do agree there are many paralegals who do know aspects of
if you have
the
a
law.
veteran paralegal, I mean, there's
I agree with that.
bitches.
Even my comment with the nurses, actually the nurses try to diagnose because they literally do more work than the doctor. So,
but the fact alone is that
but
if you have a nursing degree, I don't want your opinion if I'm there to get my doctor's opinion. If you are a paralegal, I don't want your opinion. I want the lawyer's opinion.
Well,
and the other part of it is KK has presented it that she is going to assemble a team. That isn't how any lawyer would work with her. Any lawyer is going to be the one who is assembling their own team.
Okay, so let me take that back. Your paralegal is going to know a hell of a lot, but it's going to be behind a desk.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's no way your paralegal could go to court for you in place of you. I mean, other than, the fact that.
Right, landlord tenant maybe, but yeah, exactly. And the bottom line too is if they want to be a lawyer so bad, they need to go to law school. They should not become a lawyer because they've talked Ronnie and Cindy into letting them show off their binders.
That is why it's insulting, is because, and it's kind of the same like if a nurse is basically pretending to be a doctor. All of your student loans, I mean, all the money, all the time you've put in studying, all the, you haven't earned that.
And there's a statistic that a lot of people don't know about that we actually learned about in law school, and that is that only 3% of the people in the United States are able to even get into law school. And that's not even talking about the very high attrition rate, right? Mm-hmm. Only 3% can even get in the door.
My brother's in his first year now. He's in his second semester.
How's he hanging in there?
You know what? He finished out his first semester, Menzie, with a 100. I mean, across the board. I hate him. But no, to the point where he's getting, if he could have been given over 100, he would have. And it's insane. But that your first 2 semesters or your first year, that's the weaning out period. And
exactly.
Right. You're either going to make it or you're not, and that's when your class drops down 20. I mean, you're down to 25%.
Exactly. And so, it's the same thing as Shanann claiming she was in a nursing program. There are many actual nurses or people claiming about her that she was a retired nurse. It's offensive. Right. It's offensive. I've had people attacking me who actually say that if you feel like you're a nurse, you can call yourself a nurse.
Oh my God.
And it isn't up to me to judge whether or not somebody's a nurse. It's like, actually, it is up to me to judge. And it's up to each and every one of us to judge, because if you're not a nurse, you're not a nurse, right?
That's crazy. Who would say that?
Oh, they were saying it. Let me tell you, it was ridiculous.
I love the story about your grad pictures with your hat. Your
The
witch's hat.
witches. Yeah, the witches convention.
Hilarious.
Yeah, he said evidently they've never attended a law school graduation before.
Or like any doctorate graduation.
Exactly. Or probably even any associate's degree
Right.
graduation. I know it. I know. This is really maddening, though, because I'm just so perplexed as to why a sister would be trying to sabotage her brother.
Right.
Why? And her parents. Here's another thing. Ronnie has a Facebook account, whatever you call it, Facebook profile. Ronnie has never once been harassed, which is good. He shouldn't be. Cindy's been harassed so badly she has to hide out, right? Jamie isn't getting harassed. Ronnie isn't getting harassed. Cindy's getting harassed. What? What's that about? Why? Why Cindy? Why not all three of them? And I'm not saying the other two should be harassed, but why is all of the focus on Cindy?
Do you know why Jamie's husband hates Chris so much?
What I was told was that Chris was such an egotistical, selfish whatever, that he and Shanann acted so arrogant and rude that her husband just can't stand him.
So he's basically holding Shanann's actions over Chris's head?
I would say probably, yep. I would say he's probably like, yeah, your brother's a real loser. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something more nefarious, though. I have no idea what, but I think that in the early few months, I think there was some weird fundraising going on or something. And I think that people are, I don't know, the whole KK connection. I don't know. There's something fishy going on.
So I tried, like, honest to God, I tried to watch the KK video where she kind of did her step down, and I have to be honest, I got maybe 5 minutes into it.
Yeah, I can't stand her voice, and
Right.
I'm not sure why. Well, it isn't her voice. It is her voice, but she also does the same thing over and over again, where she's like, "Oh, that's awesome! Oh, that's awesome!" And I can only take like 3 of those, and I'm out.
Right. Well, so do you know what was? Can you tell me what was said? Because I'm not gonna go watch it. But
yeah, I didn't really get into the step down one very far.
I got through that, but what I'm lost on is Jamie. Like, what happened? She doesn't want anything to do with anyone anymore. I'm so lost on that.
Well, it sounds like Jamie's tight with Lana now, with Lana and Jay, and evidently walking away from KK, maybe.
Oh, I see.
I'm not sure. I know that one thing that kind of makes me wonder too. I'm beginning to think that maybe Cindy is like continuously getting thrown under the bus. I don't know.
So,
and if she's just way too naive to catch on. Because I think she trusts Jamie. She trusts Ronnie and Jamie more than anybody, of course, her husband and her daughter. It just seems kind of odd that she would not see the obvious sooner or later.
Yeah, very true. I don't know. That's what I was wondering when I asked you earlier. Does she play naive, or is she just in so much shock still? It's so hard to tell.
Right, and that's why I say that I think in the first 3 months, I think she was probably in absolute shock, and I think it broke her heart. It broke her down, of course. I think she was very much bonded with both girls. And I think that it just broke her heart, obviously. But after a few months, then I think it turned into she was getting attacked by everybody. And I think that the stress and everything was more about how she was attacked by everybody. But then she kept talking to all of these strangers. So I guess how many times do you have to be attacked before you keep on, do you remember when Christopher Watts called her and told her to call that Chrissy Lips person?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she was telling me during that time frame, she was talking to Chrissy Lips for like 2 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
During that time frame, she kept saying to me, "You're the only," and I don't care how many people she trusts. This is not at all about boo-hoo whether or not Cindy Watts likes me, because I don't give a flip. But
It's not a pageant.
exactly. And she said to me, "You're the only person I can trust. You're the only person I can trust." She said it over and over and over again. And during that time frame, I would say to her, be careful. If somebody has contacted you, don't trust them. You need to get a lawyer so that anyone contacting you, you can just give them the lawyer's phone number if you accidentally answer your phone. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the difference with me is I didn't contact her. I don't contact people. People contact me.
But you want to know why people like Cindy need attorneys? I mean, and just like in general, if you're going through anything, I mean, just generalize. One of the biggest points of having an attorney is so that you do not have direct contact with other
Yes.
individuals.
Yes, exactly. And so it was made very clear over a long period of time. My best response to her all of the time was, don't answer your phone. What are you doing answering your phone? So then during all of this time, Christopher Watts, the selfish little butthole that he is, called his mother and told her to call Chrissy Lips and to let her know that her lover that she had never seen, that whole we're getting married routine,
Mhm.
right? That the love of her life was in the hole, so he wouldn't be able to call her. Well, I kind of figured that if he didn't call her, she might figure out he's in the hole. Like, why is it up to Christopher Watts to engage his mother in doing something that's against the rules?
Right.
What I mean, I can only listen to their naive routine.
How did
once,
all of that
twice.
play out?
Well, so what happened, Cindy calls Chrissy Lips, and the two of them strike up a friendship over a 2-month time frame, and evidently also with Chrissy Lips' mother at the time. And then Chrissy Lips is talking all about her, wonderful lover who she's never met. And
Her
Cindy
career
was
criminal.
right, and Cindy was concerned about Chrissy Lips and stuff. And I'm listening to this going, this entire time, Cindy's been telling me, "Oh, you're right. I stopped answering my phone. Oh, thank you. I stopped answering my phone," So she was basically lying by omission, okay? Because when Chrissy Lips suddenly appeared on VO5, the older ones, channel, and
Before the lips.
she's sitting there, yeah, she kept on promoting her own Botox,
Mm-hmm.
and she sat there saying, "Oh yeah, I talk to Cindy every day, and Cindy this," and I'm like, "Cindy, is this true?" She goes, "Yeah, it's true." I'm like, "What?" So basically she's been lying, and it isn't that I've said to her, "Have you talked to Chrissy Lips?" I don't care who she talks to, but don't lie to me for 2 months straight while you're, like I don't like liars. And
Right.
and then when I said, "Is this true?" She's like, "Yeah, it's true." I said, "Why did you do that?" She goes, "Well, Christopher asked me to do it. What was I supposed to tell him?" And I said, "No,
Right.
I said, "Did he call you and tell you to do it? Was it a question, yes or no, or did he just call you and tell you to do it?" It's like, come on.
But
And
what power would he even have? I mean, to make someone do
exactly.
anything.
Exactly. And that's the thing, I guess if he asks her to do something, she doesn't have the choice or something. I just, the whole thing is just, it stinks. All
What
of it.
happened? What happened? Is Chrissy still around? Or I mean, what? How did that all? Where is she now?
I have no clue.
I heard
I mean,
she
is she still
married her
relevant?
bodyguard or some shit. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, right. She said that she had like 5 uniformed cops, or were they FBI? I mean, FBI agents don't wear uniforms for one, but so I'm not sure which one it was, but like no state law enforcement is going to put a team of 5 people on a single individual. Like they're not paid to do that.
Well,
That's a rent-a-cop.
I haven't trusted her ever since she said she was a licensed psychologist, and I ran her name.
Oh God, yeah, that was the biggest joke ever.
Is she
And
not a license
Nope, she's
for
nothing.
real?
For real.
and then she started
I thought she said she
using
was a doctor.
She said,
She's
yeah, a psychologist. She said she had her I think
Okay.
PsyD or PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh right, isn't that supposedly how she met Chris? Wasn't she like his?
She worked in the
doctor?
prison system
Yeah,
or something.
she's full of shit.
Totally full of shit. And
So many
then she
people.
started using the lover she never met. She started using his last name
That was
before.
ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole thing was ridiculous. And then
Mhm.
one time AD said that she was a psychologist. Another time she was a social worker. And another time she was some sort of a victim advocate. So I thought, wow, she just got demoted fast.
And then she's an actress making a Lifetime movie.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, when they came out with that story of how she was attacked, it's like, yeah, okay, sure you were. But yeah, I thought the same thing when she was claiming she had FBI bodyguards.
Right. And she said they were uniformed, but like
That you're
FBI's
right.
not
She said
in
uniform,
parole.
but she said undercover, right? That
Did
doesn't
she
make
say
any.
undercover?
I think she did. She said she had undercover bodyguard, but if they're undercover, they wouldn't be in uniforms.
Well, and I
Right.
have a feeling that if she had any bodyguard whatsoever, whoever, whatever from a retired whatever department, that the first thing would be get the hell off of YouTube, you little stupid.
Exactly.
If you're going to be paying the wages to have a bodyguard, obviously, then you probably. And she's acting like they were provided, I guess, at the taxpayer's expense.
Right, that's
But
what I was saying. I mean, the state's not going to pay for big lips to be.
there's no way. There's no
No,
way. Not even for one, let alone 5.
Those hideous lips.
And if you do have a bodyguard, I don't know if any of you ever have, but if you do, you are not on the computer. You are not on social media. You're not living your life as if you've just got a bodyguard hanging around.
Right. It's exactly like what we've even said about Shanann. If she ran and booked it from North Carolina to Colorado to supposedly hide, why the hell was she making lives all the time, putting herself
Exactly.
out for the world to see? Like,
exactly.
hey, I'm hiding. I mean, that'd be like NK getting a reality show right now.
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to say, if you want to take a hint on how Chrissy Lips should be acting, follow NK's example, Chrissy Lips. NK's got it down.
Do what Susie's doing.
And then, the people on social media, they say, NK must be guilty because we haven't heard anything from her. It's like, that makes no sense at all. That's a leap in logic that just,
my definite doubts of, and that's where I was at the very beginning. I was like, oh, NK's definitely involved. But over time, it's like,
no, NK's done nothing. The girl was in the wrong place at the wrong time and was told the wrong shit.
Right. Well, she slept with the wrong guy, and I think that she believed, and I think actually, in fairness to him, I think he believed the marriage was already over. I think it was already over.
I don't think he was lying to NK when he said they were separated. They were separated.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've dated a guy that was separated, and all these people are like, oh, well, she shouldn't have dated him. She shouldn't have. You do realize, like, and maybe it's just my state, but a divorce can take several years.
Exactly.
So,
And I said the other day, I'm a domestic relations mediator. I have all sorts of couples who are living in the same house. If they have kids, a couple of
I
them.
agree with you on that too.
Yeah.
I have clients also that live in the same house. I mean, and they
in
date
a
other
house that
people,
big, they could have
and
very easily just lived there for the kids. And
Well, and they get along great too as friends. They get along
Right.
great. So it's not like they're going to knock each other down the stairs or anything,
yeah.
So it's not a big deal, but evidently, the people who are out there going, "Oh, she was dating a married man." No, actually they weren't even really dating if you think about it.
Right.
That was a pretty sexually driven relationship, short term, intense, whatever. They were doinking coworkers, okay? It's like, how on earth is it that?
Okay, so one of my biggest things on the NK is the ping. But I mean, are people really that stupid to not realize
Yeah,
that one
they
ping,
are.
one ping would mean a car or a person is in motion. It means you're not in a spot long enough for the pings to bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So saying that there was one ping and that puts Inke in the spot of the Watt home, that's just complete nonsense, illogical bullshit. It just is.
Well,
And for people to ride on that, it just
the answer to
shows
your
how
question is yes. Yes, they are that dumb.
so
I think they are. Because you're right, one ping doesn't mean exactly. And also, the ping could have bounced from far, far away. And nobody will accept that. If they want to believe NK is guilty, then they will not accept that ping was because the other tower just happened to bounce it.
Right.
They must not have watched the trial of Heather Aldis's kidnappers, or they would know this because those experts explained it all.
That's the worst thing about the Watts case. It's all the first time true crimers.
Right, and I don't even consider them true crimers really because
No.
they, the whole idea of when they say stop talking about the case because it's a closed case now, so stop it. It's like that's what we do in the true crime community. We talk about closed cases. We don't talk about open cases. We talk about closed cases.
Oh my God.
Well, Mensa, I had somebody private message me. I'm going to leave their name out of it. Did you start this stream before Jay completely ended hers?
Probably because I thought the music was getting hokey.
So
yeah.
This girl says that she's in Lana's Facebook group, and she said that Lana has worked her ass off doing this. Just we don't know because we are private. We haven't paid attention. She said none of this would be happening without Lana. As time goes on, more footage will be released. She also says to me, did you not hear Lana say what they got them on? Ineffective lawyers. Because I guess his lawyer, Chris's lawyer, something about the judge denied it because the DA said about hundreds of hours of man's work. And she said that Lana mentioned the reference number to the motion. The lawyer on panel needs to research it and get the number. So I guess we all need to rewatch that video. And at the very end, Lana says, and Jay clearly says that what the lawyers say, they have a good case. So,
well,
I didn't watch the whole video, and because she wrote me and she's like, "Did you not pay attention?"
Well, honestly, that's exactly what I
shot.
said. That's what I said earlier. I said his best shot would be ineffective counsel.
Yeah. So anyway, this girl, and I'm not going to say her name. She's just letting us know that Lana actually is doing something. She's worked her ass off, I guess.
She's worked her ass off, really?
That's what this girl states. Yeah.
She's worked her ass off doing what?
If I'm working my ass off, I mean, someone better put some money in my Alta account.
Well, she's worked her ass off doing what? Seriously, washing
I
up
don't know.
people's. You know what I
And
mean?
people are in the chat are even saying, I've told you all to go back and watch it. So I don't know. Did we miss something at the very, very end? I have no idea.
Maybe she did. Maybe she has worked her ass off. But here is the issue. Worked your ass on something where you are not qualified. Work your ass off. It is a
Right. Exactly. I have a Trans Am. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I have a Trans Am that needs some work done on it. I can go work my ass off on that Trans Am.
You're
like
not
probably for the next 3 years, right? I can work my ass off. And damn it, when that mechanic finally shows up and fixes it in 3 seconds, I'm taking credit for it because I got my hands greasy for 3 years. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, that's
Right.
perfect.
Lana hasn't accomplished shit, and I'm so tired of all the puffy duffy crap. She hasn't accomplished shit, and neither has KK. And Jamie, I think, is the real question here. What is this with her having a connection with people like KK and Lana who haven't accomplished shit? And they're not going to accomplish shit.
Well, because they legally cannot accomplish it.
Exactly right.
But you know that takes away from the attorney that does step in after all they have done to accomplish nothing, and then all of, I guess, I don't know what word I'm looking for. I kind of want to say reward, but I don't mean but goes to KK or Alana, but they haven't done anything that would take them anywhere.
Exactly.
Well, and I think that's the issue too. Is all of us were waiting for some long video, and then we watch it, and it's like as soon as we see people asking for money, we book it the F out of there, because to us that's not working hard. That's not, like we said, if they're gonna go and get a lawyer, why broadcast all this on YouTube?
Okay, I think that someone mentions dollar signs, their credibility drastically decreases.
Exactly. I that, to me, that is just the lowest of the low. It's like,
I think that YouTube is literally the black hole for idiots to drop their wallet and all their money spill out to pay scam artists.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. There's a channel creator out there right now. I'm not going to say her name, but I've come to like her over the years or months. I really liked her, loved her work, loved her channel. She's recently put out a GoFundMe, and that just has made me be like, ugh.
Yeah, it just kind of like rubs you the wrong way.
It does. It really does. It's like you make a channel, and then you get all these like followers, and nobody knows you in person, but they like you so much, and then it's like all suddenly you have a GoFundMe out. Like, it's just very odd to me. So
can I do a real quick shout out? This is a shout out to Melissa Jade for being one badass bitch. I love that girl, man.
Hey, I had to do a shout out to you when I started.
Well, you should.
I'm still wondering what Lana has done for work.
I don't know.
Oh, she owns a trivia company or whatever.
Oh, I don't mean that. I mean what work she has done.
Oh, okay.
What my friend messaged me, and I told my friend too. I said, well, I can repeat all this and keep your name quiet, but we don't understand because we're not in Lana's group. So, I don't know. I guess.
Yes, you. Who else would I be talking about?
Yes, you, Melissa. No, I think that what we're seeing happening right now, I think they've been working on it for a couple of years at least. I think that when you see other channel creators cutting them down, it's because they broke from the groups. You know, that there were fights going on when the case first came out. A lot of these same people were involved in those fights. I think there's some bad blood between a few of them. And you know, I'm offended by what I just saw, and I'm offended by Ronnie Watts.
Hey, so I'm severely ADHD, and I heard money, and I kind of like shut off. And so, what exactly were they saying? This nonprofit, the $10 for the website, did they say it's going towards counsel, or I mean,
no, it's all I got out of it was like you're part of the journey. Like you can, I don't even know. I probably should rewatch it just because I literally don't know what the hell it's for, and that's why I just jumped up on here. All I know is they were asking for money, and that really put a bad taste in my mouth.
Would you mind, Just Princess? Would you mind reading that again?
Sure. Okay.
I'll try to hear it better this time.
It's a couple of messages. Sorry. Okay. She says, I'm in Lana's Facebook group and she's worked her ass off doing this. Only others don't know because they're not private, or because I guess they're private. We're not in the group. And I said, okay, I can mention this and keep her name out. She said, because as time goes on, more footage will be released. Why would people be so ignorant of meeting Lana with lawyers and the father? I don't get it. And then she said,
hold on. Why would people be so ignorant of what?
Of Lana and the father meeting lawyers.
So this is interesting. Okay.
Basically, they did get lawyers. They did meet with lawyers there. He said, did you not hear Lana say what they got them on ineffective lawyers? And I said, no, I was too busy in chat. And then she said, the motion from Chris's lawyer about the leak from the DA's office. And I said, vaguely. And she said, the judge denied it because the DA said it would be about thousands of hours of man work. And then she said at the end, Lana mentioned the reference number to the motion, and that lawyer on panel needs to research it and get the number. She said, we all need to rewatch, but near the end of the visual and listen to what Lana says, and Jay clearly says that the lawyers say they have a good case.
Well, there's actually 2 attorneys on panel, so.
Well, I'm actually, I have my JD, but I'm
not practicing.
Right, not practicing. I'm a domestic relations mediator, so I like to help people figure out how to be, play nice so that their kids don't have to see mommy and daddy fighting.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's my shtick.
Well, and she's talking about too, what Lana's worked on is that whole 360 app, all that. She's the one that found all that.
But what? Sorry, ADHD again.
Let me slip you some Adderall.
Okay, so it's
what is she telling me to look into?
Right, the motion is to put. What was it specific to the leaks from the prosecutor's office?
Let me reread it.
And the judge denied it?
She said the judge denied it because the DA said about thousands of hours of man's work. She said, the motion from Chris's lawyers about the leak from the DA's office. They got him on ineffective lawyers, I guess, or ineffective counsel, whatever was said earlier.
Ineffective counsel.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like what they have so far is they're claiming that they have a lawyer in Colorado who is telling them they have a good case.
And then she said they took the case to the lawyer Ronnie went to, and I don't understand what's so funny. Who do they expect to sort this mess out? Someone had to start somewhere, and Lana did.
Someone had to start somewhere, and Lana did. This is the part that is just so incredible. A family had lawyers offering.
That's what I don't understand. Why did they turn those lawyers down?
Exactly. So, and I think the bottom line, and I'll go ahead and be the brave, big mouth here. And I don't mean of us, I mean of this whole YouTube circus routine. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Number one, Lana hasn't worked her ass off, okay? Because the end product is she has 6 binders and she thinks that that's how it's done, okay? What's in her binders? The discovery.
Right.
Come on. She didn't go out there and investigate and find out anything newsworthy. She's been reading the discovery and playing with her Post-it notes and playing with her highlighters and her, whatever, right? And her tabs and whatever.
I
That
found
is not
some
working.
bad-ass highlighters, by the way, and they
Oh,
are
really?
made by
Highlighters
Crayola.
matter. Oh, cool. Highlighters
Yes.
matter. If you guys haven't earned your JD yet, then you don't know
You
the
don't
value
know
of
what
highlighters.
mean to the world.
Yes, highlighters matter. Hashtag highlighters matter.
Yes.
So,
But they're
okay, let's.
called Take Note highlighter pens, and they are by
Ooh.
Crayola, and this is not paid advertisement. They are that badass.
But let's break down what we're being told. We're being told that the lawyer said you have a good case. You might have a good case. You have a good case. Okay. Did the lawyer say, we have a good case or you have a good case? The lawyer's talking to Lana Notebook and Ronnie. The lawyer needs to, okay, I could see
I guess the
Ronnie.
lawyer told them they have a good case. I don't know.
Okay. And it's about the motion to do what? What? Are you familiar with the motion shenanigan maker? Was it, I can't say it. Was it, I'm not familiar with that motion. I'm familiar with the motion to prohibit Christopher Watts from talking to anybody but his own lawyers. I don't know. Do you have access?
I have it right now. I'm
Okay.
trying to read through it. So
And here's
in the motion, Rourke outlined the efforts his office made to prevent leaks, but acknowledged instances where media outlets allegedly obtained information from sources within law enforcement. The DA's office also claimed that additional information about the case came from the unsealed arrest affidavit for Chris Watts.
Wait, the unsealed arrest affidavit?
Yep.
And that's a leak? Are you kidding?
It says such conduct only works to undermine the public's confidence in law enforcement, the motion reads. Nevertheless, the DA's office argued that it would be extremely difficult to determine the source of potential leaks and that it would require interviews with hundreds of government employees and thousands of pages of phone records. Who would staff and fund such an investigation, Rourke motion says. It's unclear what leaks exactly prompted Chris Watts' legal team to pursue sanctions against the prosecution in the first place.
Okay, this is so ridiculous. We're talking about information that was from an unsealed arrest affidavit?
Yep.
That was the basis for the motion?
Okay, so it says, during a court appearance on August 20th, Chris Watts waived his rights to preliminary hearing, but his public defenders would revisit the issue during a status conference in November. information about the prosecutors will argue motives the crime have been entirely released. In the affidavit, investigators said that they learned that Chris Watts was having an affair with coworker, and that the morning when his wife was killed, he said he wanted separation. As of last month, Rourke said it was too early to say if it would well, it's just going on to bullshit, but that's the meat and potatoes.
Okay. I mean, and this is the basis for the Lana
sounds
show?
like a whole bunch of bullshit.
I mean,
on the panel, it's Sean's princess, and it's shenanigan maker, not Crafton Barnes' wife.
so they're claiming that a lawyer told them they have a good case because the judge rightfully denied that motion?
I guess she wrote a little bit more. I'm having a hard time understanding her. She said, it's hard on what I can repeat. Have you watched Lana when she was talking about the timeline transactions and the live 360 that isn't heard? It's her son's. Yes, and then who turned them down because KK said it never happened and others said it did. So yeah, I'm confused on it all because I never really watched KK and I never paid attention to a lot of that stuff. So
okay, well, if you can, is she still like messaging you right now?
yeah, she's in the live. She's just listening.
Okay, can she hop up and explain what she wants to explain or no?
I told her that and she didn't. Let me ask her again.
I'll put the link in there again. Because if what I'm hearing is correct, then it sounds like they're trying to convince their...
She doesn't want to come on panel.
Okay. If what I'm hearing is correct, then it sounds like they're convincing their followers that some lawyers said, wow, you have a good case based on a motion that was heard in court and denied.
She said what the lawyer said wasn't the motion.
Is it the let's see, is it in its motion? The defense further states the failure to turn over the autopsy records and other evidence in violating due process of law and undetermining.
It was the motion that she said because it was about the leaks from the prosecutors.
Right, because she said leaks.
And it was about the man hours that it would take. So it was exactly what she said it was.
Unless I read it wrong, I don't know.
No, it was exactly what you read. I mean, so maybe there's another motion.
Denied it because the DA said about hundreds of hours of man work.
I don't understand the
I don't know.
The man work.
Then because she wrote, you told what the motion was about, the hundreds hours of man hours because of leaks, and the judge denied it.
Right, and why wouldn't the judge deny that?
I'm not sure. She's typing right now.
Because basically what the DA is saying...
To investigate the leaks.
Exactly. What the DA is saying is that it would absolutely be cost prohibitive. And these are public resources, okay? These are public resources. He has a duty to the public to not be squandering money if it isn't needed, right? It would be cost prohibitive for him to sit down and interview every single employee of every single agency to find out who released an unsealed arrest affidavit. I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Shenanigan Maker, you think an appeal or a 35C has a good chance with that one?
Is that a joke?
Yeah.
So there is no evidence any lawyer or other employee of the DA's office had violated any rule of professional conduct or corresponding order of this court. The court filing reads. Also argues that is also concerned about the potential leaked information from alleged sources ability to require.
Yes, it is shenanigan maker.
It says neither the court nor investigators have the legal ability to
Shenanigan maker. You're on panel, right?
Huh?
You're on panel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lilu says you're not shenanigan maker. She thinks you're Kim Crafton's wife.
Oh, Lilu, stop it. We know better.
Lilu, it is shenanigan maker.
Do you not see the picture
Well, no,
with Frankie?
No, you changed your picture earlier to like a woman or something, but right now there's no picture.
Yeah. I changed it.
Now it's just blank. It's a white avatar.
Okay. I changed it to none shenan.
Mensa, see where that comment is where it says Melissa Jade, LOL, thank you? Take that off of the screen and then it should say our names.
Okay. Oh, wait.
Can you? Oh, there you go. There you go. See, it's shenanigan maker. It's not Kim.
Well, and I've heard both voices, and they're nothing alike because the Kim voice is more of a rah, 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 you know, a really like a very strong, like an in your face kind of a voice. Shenanigan maker has a very
soft,
more of an yeah. So I don't get how anyone could think that's the same voice.
Tricked ya. Now I gotta lick ya.
Oh no! We're never going to be a coven of you know what.
Oh God!
Oh my gosh!
I just bring it.
Yes, Lucy.
Wingers group.
Lana is the president of the company, the nonprofit company.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry, shenanigan maker.
Okay. The court nor the investigators have legal ability to require journalists to reveal their sources. So an investigation into these leaks would be lengthy and resource intensive.
So it makes perfect sense that the court would have denied that motion.
Exactly. I mean, why is it even being talked about?
But just look at it. People are believing it, aren't they? People are hearing it with the music playing, and watching Lana go through the airport with her blue suitcase, and Ronnie driving, the SUV. They're believing it, and they're going, "Oh wow, yeah," and they say just enough to have regular people just go in, like, "Oh, really?"
Shenanigan maker. My friend wrote me again and said to tell you to read the rest of what the judge said.
Let's see.
Chance Princess, does your friend's real first name start with an A?
No, it does not.
Okay, good. Well, there's a person whose name starts with an A who is very heavily entrenched in this project. In fact, her name was listed in the credits of that little mini film. And it's a very interesting connection because she was involved very, very heavily right in this at the very beginning of these little groups I told you about.
Oh, really?
She's also somebody who contacted me repeatedly, being the victim, playing the victim, saying certain things that I won't say at this point, but I may decide to share at a later time. So I'm still kind of thinking to myself, well, this is an interesting connection that she's knee deep in the middle of all this crap. Very interesting.
No, her name does not start with an A. She's actually been in, I've only met her through YouTube, like through these chats. So, and I've only seen her in your chat and a couple other chats. That's it.
So do you know her real name, or is it just her profile?
Yes, I know her real name.
Okay,
She's
good.
on Facebook.
Okay, good.
Yeah, she's not a troll. That's what I'm trying to say. She's a real person. Like she's in your group. She's in your chats. Like
Okay, good. Because the one I'm thinking of has a profile that she uses too. That's totally different than her name.
who is that girl? Can you say her name?
I think I might, but probably not right now because I'm kind of tired. And the story behind it all is just really weird. I probably want to think of this one through because she's made some pretty amazing claims, and then come to find out she's connected to the worst of the worst. So I don't know. And then when I saw her name in the credits of that little movie,
I only saw Lana and Jennifer's names in there. I don't know.
No, there were a couple other names too. When I saw
didn't you say you saw Sister Knives? And then she was in here telling us we had everything wrong. And I was like, whoa, you were just in there modding. And then they said I was rude in that one.
Sister Knives is the person I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, she said I was being rude in Jay's chat, and that pissed me off because I was not being rude in Jay's chat. I was actually complimenting them.
I'll tell you right now, she's been involved knee deep with all these and some of the worst of the worst. And this is part of the whole. I'm really thinking that they're involved in order to keep him from having any chance at all of having a lawyer.
I agree. Something is not right. And it's sad. It's really sad because.
Well, and it's so offensive. They think we're so stupid. They just, they change their profile name and they think we can't recognize their language patterns and their voices and everything. They think we're stupid. And we're not. And they don't know how to deal with it when they figure out that we're not as stupid as they were hoping.
Lulu, if I offended you, I wasn't meaning to be rude at all. I think she got mad because I had Shenanigan Maker show that she wasn't Kim. I wasn't trying to make fun of Lulu at all. I thought it was funny that she thought she was somebody else.
Jennifer says for only $19.95, you can free Chris Watts and send his father down a dark path due to false promises. So, Shenanigan Maker, have you found anything more interesting about that?
No, I haven't. I've looked through a couple different. I just Googled it, but I haven't had time to actually do it. When I first read that comment by Jennifer, I thought it said and send his father. In my head, I kind of like read the rest without reading it, and I thought it was going to say a dark amusement park.
That's your psychic ability seeing this as a circus.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is weird. What a disappointment. I'm sorry, you guys. We were kind of looking forward to hearing that they hired a lawyer.
We were pre-gaming, and then when I saw all of you guys in the chat, I was like, hey, we've got everyone here. That's awesome. Like, I don't know. I was very disappointed.
You know what I think? I think Ronnie and Cindy should pay Lana hourly for her time.
Yeah, I do too.
I think they should pay J is for Justice for her, I don't know, for her time, and maybe for her design set and whatever. I don't know. I think they should pay KK for whatever they hired, or recruited her to do. I don't know. Maybe they should pay for it out of whatever inheritance that Jamie will get when the two of them, one day move on. I think really that it's time for everybody to stop giving either side of the family so much energy. There's a true crime case for us to be discussing. There are a lot of issues with this case that I think deserve to be discussed, I think we should just put our blinders on to either side of the family. Because it's all a circus, all of it. And look at how much energy we're spending on this. We're right here. We're right here going, oh, did they get a lawyer? Oh, you know.
Yeah.
Oh. And we got caught up in it right along with them.
I just changed my profile picture back to my old one because I was really, really missing those fat Chris cuddles.
You were missing what?
The fat Chris cuddles. Yeah. with little baby shenanigan.
Tipsy Toe says they are supposedly using the insurance money they got from Bella, Cece, and Shanann.
That's what I heard too. They just got the $50,000, and that's what they were using to go to Colorado. And that's why a lot of people were upset about this, but I don't know.
So maybe Lana and Jay is for Justice and KK are already getting paid. I wonder, if they've convinced them that they've actually done some work over the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're not going to do that for free.
This is really sad.
It is sad.
No matter what way you look at it.
I don't know. I feel like and Cindy are getting used yet again. Like, honestly, I don't know. Maybe they're not.
Well, you want to know how they will not get used?
Quit talking.
Stop hiring non-professional people. Hire a goddamn attorney.
And I've been telling them to hire a lawyer for over 2 years. And Cindy keeps saying that they will.
But that is the only way that they are going to find someone that is legally, to find someone ethical enough to take their case that's not going to be, or to work their case that's not in it for any selfish reasons or any reasons at all, other than the fact that that is their attorney.
Right.
Exactly. And they have a legal obligation to take care of them, right?
Exactly.
And stay the hell off of YouTube and Facebook and the Googles.
Well,
it's just not a difficult concept to grasp. I just don't understand. And it does not make any sense. Why keep, whenever you have a common denominator and you keep having the exact same outcome, it's easy to pinpoint where the issue lies. Right. So it's not hard.
I agree.
My friend says she's done. They have a lawyer.
They have a lawyer, so they're making videos and websites and YouTube live chats.
I don't know.
Well, because I believe that the first thing their attorney would tell them to do is to not do that. That would be the exact opposite route that I think any.
Okay, so I'm asking my friend right now, why are they asking for money for a website? That's putting a bad taste in my mouth.
Where's the money going?
Okay.
And also, didn't their lawyer tell them to get off YouTube?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I'm more cynical than you guys. I don't know if it comes with age or comes with dealing with these idiots for so long, but I don't believe they have a lawyer. I don't believe it at all. Yeah. I do not believe it, because any lawyer would say, who are you and what are you here for? And they would not be impressed with the binders. And, I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I don't believe it.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what's confusing me too. And, if they have a lawyer and they're helping them, great. All the power to them. But to ask us for money and lead us on this whatever chase, it's ridiculous.
Right. And if what they said, I almost said chatterbox again. Ah, shenanigan maker. What shenanigan maker read to us. I don't think the judge made any mistake at all with denying that motion. There's no way they can expect the prosecutor's office to exhaust all of their resources trying to find out who talked about an unsealed arrest affidavit. If it's an unsealed arrest affidavit, who cares?
And I'm just wondering how they started up a nonprofit this fast. I mean, because it would take like up to 12 months. I mean, you're dealing with the IRS, and that shit takes time. I mean, they don't do anything fast. So how did they start up a nonprofit within the, I mean, I don't know how long they've been talking to the Watts or any of this has been in motion, but I don't.
And
feel
if
that
it's a
been that long.
nonprofit, why is she calling herself the president of the company?
Right.
And she said Ronnie is the first honorary vice president for the first year.
I'm asking her, where does the website money go to? Because she's saying that Lana nor Jay have taken any money from the Watts. Lana wants justice. She said to help out with other families going through the same thing. So this isn't even all Watts. This sounds cool. I don't want to pay for other families. Really, right now, I don't want to focus on other families that
For other families going through the same thing. That's pretty generic in an explanation.
Like injustice for other families. So like maybe people that have wrongfully confessed. I don't know. That's
So then what they're amping up for is to have they're using the Watts then to somehow validate their cause as if they're helping the Watts somehow, which I don't believe they are. And then that'll get the money flying in so that they can attach themselves to other true crime cases and try to act like they're helping. Wow.
I have no idea.
This is kind of yucky.
The whole thing just makes me feel violated, I guess. I don't know what the right word is. I feel weird about it all.
Exactly. Especially when we did our little pre-live get together saying, yeah, let's head over there now. So we go heading over there. We're all relatively intelligent and ready to be open-minded. And, there we were. And actually, I loved it in the first 3 minutes.
Oh, I did too. I was complimenting them, saying this looks really good. It looks professional. Like it, because everyone was laughing, saying, "Oh God, a GoPro documentary. Like this is gonna look stupid." And it actually looked really good. They did a good job.
Well, and then I was wondering who was sitting in the back seat and everything, and I'm thinking, is that Jay with something on her forehead or something? Like to be at that height of Ronnie driving and everything. I mean, yeah, I was like really watching it thinking.
I wonder who their board members are.
That's what I'm saying about the president and vice president. Exactly. It's called, isn't it chairman and no, I don't know.
Right.
And I know that you can set it up differently, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but Lana's the president of the company. Come on. So, and I've got news for you. They can say we haven't taken a penny from whatever, but if it's set up as a nonprofit, they're being paid. They're being paid. If it's set up as a nonprofit, then they're drawing their salary. It's just that the salaries are construed as being, part of the costs of running the nonprofit, right?
Right.
Shenanigan, did you finish reading the last part of the judge's decision? She said
nothing that I had looked at said anything was giving any information from that side of it. It was all from Rourke's side.
No. See,
I mean, I can look into it more, but so could other people.
So with all of the stuff that we've seen in the case of Christopher Watts, they're going to hang their hat on that?
Right.
No way. No way. I think they just searched for something that nobody would really be like we are being right now. Having you read it.
I don't know. I feel like I got my hopes up. Like I waited all day for that stupid live. All day.
Well, then we need to help you with that because We need to learn how to not fall for the BS. We'll get better at it, I think. As time goes on, we'll be able to call it out sooner.
Well, and like Neferious says, if she's right and they are working their asses off and they are doing something, and I guess we'll see things in the future, but I'm not going to get my hopes up because every time I have in this case, something goes wrong.
No, what they're doing is they're burning up the time. And
right.
I still get that, the working their asses off routine. It just kind of reminds me of Shanann saying she did more than 95% of the other people out there. It's like,
oh my God, that's right.
Their asses off doing what? And like, we ask your friend to name one thing that they've ever done that is constitutes work. I mean, if she mentions the binders, I'm gonna scream.
I hope she has some black highlighters with those binders.
We can all print off the discovery and run up to Staples, get a bunch of binders. They have really cool tabs. They can even teach you how to do it. And we can all fill up the binders, and we can sit on Jay's channel and talk about
UPS has the absolute cheapest printing when you have to print off 600 pages.
So, if I guess, I don't know. I think Shenanigan Maker, you and I probably, with our experience through school, we could probably whip that sucker out in a day.
Exactly. Exactly.
What has Lana done that constitutes using the word work?
I mean,
right.
The same with KK. KK said that she was working for 2 years. Doing what?
Yeah. And I'd only recommend somebody printing out the discovery just because it's been redacted so many damn times. So that would drive me nuts. But other than that, nobody wants to waste all that paper.
Yeah, but it is good to print out, though, because that way the next time something disappears, you'll have the one before.
Yeah. And I keep asking people for the original discovery, and nobody seems to have it. And the people that say they do have it, send me the one I can get now online.
They probably want to be the one channel, 10 years from now that has the vintage copy of Discovery. It's like the original Coke bottle, you got to hang on to those.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like Nana Nana Boo Boo. Yeah, this is really disappointing.
It is. I feel
so
like
they're planning on getting all this done in like 9 months, 8-9 months.
I don't know.
Well, remember when KK first came on board, her first live chat, they said how long, it was her second or her third, I think, but they said
like 2 months.
She said within 2 months it would be filed.
Well, then I really hope her ass was working on it for 10 months prior.
Well, this was back when she first started her channel. After 2 months, then she went on vacation for a couple weeks, and then she hasn't really mentioned it since, except to say it'll be at least May. So, let's call it what it is. They're liars.
Right. What the hell's taking so long? Why do you have to wait even 2 months? Why not do it now?
Well, it does take a long time, but the point is KK had no right, reason, experience, ability to file a 35C, and neither does Lana. And I highly doubt they have a lawyer, because if they have a lawyer, they wouldn't be pulling what they're pulling now. I call BS on all of it, start to finish. BS. Sorry, you guys, but I think
the websites to help other families too. Why are they focusing on helping other families right now? Wouldn't your sole attention be on the Watts family?
Money, money, money.
It would for me. If I was helping the Watts out right now, I wouldn't be setting up some website. I don't care if it's to help homeless French dogs, French bulldogs. French bulldogs are my thing. Like, no, I would be focusing everything on helping the Watts family.
Well, and the thing is, they're actually harming the Watts family, in my opinion.
Very true.
And I think they've made it obvious with what they pulled tonight that they're willing to use the Watts family in order to try to build some sort of a quote unquote nonprofit. Somebody might want to inform them that when they claim that they have a nonprofit, that they actually do have to be transparent. So they might want to rethink using that term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course, let's just go ahead and let her think that her binders are cool. You watch though, Shenanigan Maker, now that we've talked about highlighters in law school, you know what's going to happen. She's going to get those.
Everybody's got some hell of a lot of highlighters, and everybody's been to law school.
She's going to get those Crayola ones and act like she knew it all along.
You know what? I hope she does. I hope she does. There's some badass highlighters.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a huge letdown. I thought it was going to be this like hour.
I'm gonna check the stock of these highlighters in the morning.
Oh, wow.
I think across the board it's a letdown because I'm more disappointed in the Watts family than I've been right along here with ever since the KK show came to town. It isn't KK I'm disappointed in because like I've never had an ounce of respect for KK. It's Cindy and Ronnie that I've lost respect in because I used to have respect for them, you know? That's who I'm disappointed in. And now with this, it isn't even Lana as much as it is Ronnie. Like, they can't be that naive. I'm sorry. And if they have been that naive, then it's on them to stop being so naive.
Yeah.
However that needs to happen. You know, if they have to like just look in the mirror, slap their own little cheek and say, stop being so naive. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, like someone was saying at the beginning of this, what they're doing is going to do as much for Chris as our mock trial is going to do.
Yeah.
I actually think there's more value in our mock trial than anything we're going to see coming out of that camp.
Right.
They need a rubber band on their wrist every time they just pop it.
Exactly. Yeah, there I go again, being stupid. Yeah, snap. Exactly. And you know, it isn't like they haven't had so many opportunities, you know. They've had so many people lining up to help them. If forget about all the talk about the Mark Gillespie stuff and everything, but I believe it totally. I do because of what I experienced. But think about the two women, the one channel creator and then her friend, who spent hour after hour after hour trying to get them help with that whole victim thing.
Yeah.
And all they had to do was sign the victim thing, and they wouldn't do it. Because, you know, it takes away their whining ability. Then how can they complain about the victims fund, whatever? They can't complain about it anymore if they actually put their name on the bottom.
Well, I even try to give them the benefit of the doubt and think, you know, maybe they've gone a lot further than we saw, and they're just showing us a tape from months ago. But then I'm remembering back, no, the video was dated February 21st. And also, Lana already gave herself away in Cooter's chat saying she was buying a GoPro for the weekend.
Yeah, she's getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
She's
But
getting
how much
paid.
are GoPros anyway?
How much what?
How much is a GoPro? I'd imagine.
Those things are expensive.
Right?
I had no clue. I didn't even know what it was.
A lot
I
of
don't
people
know.
were scared to ask. They were like, what the hell is a GoPro? Because, well, and then she has to turn it sexual. Like, sorry, Lana, you're not the hottest girl out on the market. Nobody cares that you had to get the extra, extra large chest strap because of your boobs. Like, oh my God.
Like we use the GoPro like when because I sail, and like we use it when we're doing like regattas or whatever for sailing, but I'm not sure how I can place a GoPro in a situation like this. I'm
I
not
believe
sure
it's
I
the
can.
same like cop. I think it's the same camera that cops have, like a body cam type thing.
But still, my point's the same. What would be the point of
Right.
it?
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Well, it's a good something to say, gee, Ronnie, I need more money. I didn't think about that insurance money that they got. So these people lined right up to say, okay, it's time to cash in. They've got a little bit of money to spend.
Mm-hmm. That's what I heard anyway, was that he got the $50,000.
That's too bad. That is too bad. Well, I think we should probably, I don't know. What? We're going to talk this weekend, right? Because we can't go more than a couple of days without
Thank
without
God.
clicking on. But let's all kind of let this sink in and just because I think a lot of us are just kind of going, huh? What
I
did we
think
just?
I'll go over and rewatch that video again because I wasn't paying a lot of attention. As soon as the video stopped and it was a website and saying you can contribute, I was like, oh God. So I think I'll go over, watch it again just to make sure. But I don't believe in it. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah. This is just.
I'm not sure that I'm 100% understanding it. I mean, and for I guess anyone watching that thinks maybe we're coming across too harsh or something, I know on my end I could probably watch it again and maybe, I don't know, put more attention to it, and I apologize if I completely misunderstood, but first impressions, scam.
Right. And that's what I was saying. It gave me a bad taste in my mouth. And it just, like I was saying, my friend earlier, that I've been following her for months. She's made a channel. She's an awesome YouTube content person. And now that she's got this GoFundMe out, it's left a bad taste in my mouth.
Right. And I'm not anything nearly as nice as the two of you. I think it's all bullshit, and I think Ronnie and Cindy should get their heads out of their butts. I think that their family situation, the position they're in, their son's in prison for the rest of his life. They already didn't call a lawyer the day he went into the police station. They already didn't hire lawyers and make damn sure that he had whatever. They sit back and whine because they weren't able to talk to him when he was at the jail. Well, then hire a lawyer and fight like hell to be able to talk to him while he was at the jail. And then they whine because of this and they whine because of that. Well, hire a lawyer, fight. And if you don't have fight in you, I'm sorry, get it in you.
In the beginning, I felt bad for Chris because he didn't know a lot of law, and I felt like he was really naive, and that's how I am.
But that's like 95%.
I literally, I'll never forget the first time I was arrested. As soon as they said you have the right to remain silent, I thought they were commanding me to be silent. I'm not even joking. I started bawling, and then
shut your mouth.
Yeah, I thought because I didn't know. I was just a dumb teenager, so when he's in there taking the polygraph and whatever, of course, I probably wouldn't have even gone that far. But when everyone's like, he could have just got up and walked out, I felt like he couldn't. So I think a lot of that was just being naive and not knowing. A lot of us don't know our rights.
Right, and I agree with you. And I fell for it for 2 years straight with Cindy Watts. That naivety is so, she was so naive, so gullible, so heartbroken, so vulnerable, all of that, right? And it just makes everybody just want to put your arm around them and say it'll be okay. And a lot of people care about you, and everything will be all right. And you can only say that so many times before you want to say stop it.
Right.
Just stop it. Either suffer the rest of your life, or get off your asses and do something about it. And, I'm sorry, that sounds really mean.
Well, and the whole time Chris was getting polygraphed, well, it was a good few hours. Ronnie was out there with his phone. You can't tell me he didn't have several people calling saying, Chris needs to lawyer up. Chris needs to shut up. Chris needs to get out of there. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly right. And yeah, it wasn't just Chris himself. It was also Ronnie sitting right there with his arm around him, rubbing his shoulder, kind of like, oh, yeah, really? You killed her? Yeah, it comes to a point where I think we have to call it what it is. Like, enough already with the southern drawl trying to act like you're all just a bunch of friendly, I mean, come on. Your son's in prison for the rest of his life. Your grandchildren are dead. Would you please grow a spine and decide whether or not you're going to try to help your son actually speak the truth, number one, and then whether or not you're going to try to help him stand up for his own rights. Look at the energy that we put into this, even trying to get to the truth or trying to figure out the truth. Like, dealing with that family, it's kind of like they're in their own way. They are in their own way. Here's something else too. This whole thing of let's go to Colorado and try to make some quick scam money off of gullible people on YouTube. This whole routine, the trip they needed to take was not to Colorado.
Right.
The trip they needed to take was to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Amen. That's what I was saying earlier. Why would they go to Colorado? If Chris was doing this, wouldn't the very first request need to go through Wisconsin since that's where he's at?
No, not to a lawyer in Wisconsin. What I mean is any trip they take needs to be the core person in this situation is Christopher Watts. Ronnie, Lana, whoever, whatever, they're all an extension. Like, the core person is Christopher Watts. So while Christopher Watts is, buying lube from the commissary and loaning it out to his buddies or whatever, and writing letters to every female who writes to him, I've never heard of this type of situation. I don't know. I'm naive about stuff though. But
I am too.
He's writing letters, he's doing Zoom calls or whatever. He's calling evidently everyone that AD's ever talked to.
Oh God.
He's all of this weird stuff, right? It's like, if he is not on board 100%, and if he doesn't know how to keep his big mouth shut, then Lana and Ronnie can fly to wherever they want to fly to, and it's not going to make any difference.
Right.
Christopher Watts is really the core, obviously, of this case. He isn't a minor. He isn't a vulnerable adult. So whatever Ronnie and Lana are doing with, as they travel with their binder collection, it's almost, I don't know which is worse. That I think Ronnie and Cindy are getting screwed again, or that Ronnie and Cindy seem to want to get screwed again.
But I think that you are 100% correct. I feel like it is a whole bunch of noise because it's completely taking away from any of it being about Chris. And that's what it's about. It's not about Ronnie. It's not about Lana. And by creating a YouTube show and doing all of this media bullshit, it takes away from Chris and the real reason behind any of it, which is justice for Bella and Cece, who are the only true victims.
Yes.
So putting the focus on Lana and J4J and Ronnie, anyone else, it's that noise, and I do feel like you definitely hit the nail when you said that it was noise to distract. I mean, that's what it feels like for me.
Right, they're trying to burn up the time frame so that he doesn't have a choice. Moreno says that they said in the video they need CW's power of attorney. Oh my gosh.
But no, and that's exactly, and that was kind of moving towards the next thing I was going to say, it feels like Ronnie's hiring an attorney or Lana's hiring an attorney. That they aren't. They're not in prison. They do not need counsel. Chris does. So
Exactly.
what are they doing in Colorado? Chris is not in Colorado.
And why I laughed so hard when I saw this comment is because in many of the conversations, this exact issue was said to me, that he was going to go ahead and sign the power of attorney. Like that would really matter. To which I would respond, hire a lawyer for yourself. That way you can ask these questions. Because I did not answer any legal questions for the Watts family. My response was always hire a lawyer so you can ask these questions. They seemed to believe, which a lot of people do, they seem to believe that if you get someone, you know, I guess to, I don't know, like say you're going to be living at your second home and you want to give someone a power of attorney in case, whatever, with your other house rented out for you or something or whatever. I don't know. People seem to think that you can run down, get the blank form, fill it out, and oh boy, they're your power of attorney.
Right.
A simple power of attorney isn't going to do Christopher Watts or Ronnie or Cindy any good. And the thought that J is for Justice or Lana or whoever else is involved, the other people in the credits, would think that it would make any sense at all to say, oh yeah, they need Christopher Watts to sign a power of attorney. That is right up there with those binders.
Yeah.
They are proving by this statement that they don't have a flipping clue what they're doing. They're also proving by this statement that their followers are stupid. There you have
So
it.
this reminds me, kind of. So I won't go in depth or give too many details. But so I had this client that we ended up having to put him into an inpatient for mental health, and his mother so badly. I mean, like, ooh, man, she wanted power of attorney so bad because he lived at home. She wanted to control every aspect of his life, and honestly, yeah, this dude was whack, but he stalked. He was a stalker, and she would text me and email me at like 1, 2 in the morning and just cuss my ass out, just constantly. But that kind of reminds me of them. But it's like they almost want to completely take over, and I could definitely see them doing that.
Well, and it shows
Like
how
if you don't do what they want you to do, like they're going to be riding your ass hard.
well, and it shows how it shows the minimal knowledge that these people are working with. If they had a lawyer, if they actually went out there and got a lawyer, they would probably know better than to be telling their subs that they were going to get Christopher Watts to sign a power of attorney. If we're talking an appeal, even if they still want to talk about a 35C, which they shouldn't be, but if either or, they don't need a power of attorney because there's no way in hell that any lawyer is going to represent a client whose parents are actually signing, pretending, to speak for him because they can't seem to get him on board because he's too busy with his.
That's what I was gonna say too. I mean, there's no grounds for it.
There's none whatsoever.
Right.
If he's on board, he's on board. If he isn't on board, he isn't on board.
Right.
To be having any power of attorney going to anybody else at this point, and then for the channel to make it sound like it matters. It just shows you guys you're being duped, you're being lied to, you're being conned. The binder system that Lana is promoting is no longer in use, okay? I want you to know that. So the next time you're impressed by her binder system, or the next time she's impressed by her own binder system, that you all realize you're about 5 to 6 years behind the times, okay? And it's even longer than that, isn't it? I mean, really.
Yeah.
So, oh, this is so frustrating. Why are we being duped? Why are we being conned? Why are we being...
You know, though, but here, well, and maybe this is completely different, but my secretary does have to order like cases of legal pads, because I just like to write, and it's kind of how stuff
It's
sinks
how you
into my
think.
head.
It's how you
And
organize and think. Exactly.
exactly. And so I go through, honest to God, I go through about, I mean, depending on the day, I can go through 3 a day.
I do too. I can go, I wouldn't say 3, I would say 2, but you're
Yeah.
in on trial. I'm dealing with people and their children.
Yeah.
I have a hearing for, this is not about mediation. This is a hearing for land use, and I already have 2 legal pads full, and my part in this is basically touching on 4 points, and that's it. I'll probably speak for 8 minutes tops.
Right.
And I have 2 legal pads full.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But you watch now, Lana's going to have legal pads. You just watch. She'll have
I know.
highlighters by Crayola, and she'll have legal pads because we know
I'm
damn well.
honestly surprised that she has not gone and bought some legal pads yet.
Well, you know what?
That is the definition of attorney, legal pad.
The weekend.
Legal pad highlighter.
The weekend is young. I think by the time she watches this video 2 or 3 times to try to understand it, then I think she will have legal pads in her hand. I do. And I get so frustrated because I think of how many people are being duped, not only by, you know, the obvious channel creators who don't know diddle shit about this case, who have criminal records, drug abuse histories, blah, blah, blah. Not only duped by them as they go on and on about MK being a motive or whatever, but also, or being an accomplice, you know, all that crap. But the people like KK and Lana who put it out there that they're really, you know, highly skilled and hardworking, and that they're surrounded by people with credentials, it's like, what? Stop. I just think we should all like go on strike for all of this noise. Really. And basically just keep maybe promoting the statement that if Christopher Watts actually has a snowball's chance, then he better get off his butt, stop writing to his pen pals, and start writing to lawyers.
I mean, it's not even ethical for them to be on YouTube doing this.
It is not ethical at all. So if they're claiming to their viewers that they have a lawyer, then whoever that lawyer is should probably read up on the professional.
Right.
You know.
I mean, if they do have an attorney and they are doing all this YouTube shit, I wouldn't be surprised if someone gets a notice from the bar association.
Well, I wondered that. Remember the 1-year anniversary, the end of the driveway talk?
Yep.
I wondered about that with a bunch of lawyers standing there. Well, not a bunch of them, but a couple of them, saying they have a dedicated group. Oh, how did they say that? We have a dedicated group constantly reporting and trying to get back at these people. And I wondered about that at that point, if whether or not that might have been covered in the rules of professional conduct. To have a dedicated group, you know, constantly reporting and trying to get back at these people. I'm not sure that's how that should go.
Maybe they're just like sitting back hoping that actual attorneys don't watch.
That could be. That could be.
Because, I mean, to just anybody, I mean, most people wouldn't know your ethical guidelines or, you know, so it's fair game.
And it is YouTube where anything goes, you know, the cesspool of mankind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty dicey. I don't know,
Yeah.
but if you watched the Lana thing tonight,
Especially if they're bringing money in, that absolutely crosses the ethical line.
right. I just want to say to anybody in the chat, if you actually did watch the Lana thing tonight, and if you actually do believe that Lana's notebooks and her cameras and her claims of working hard for 2 years and all that other garbage, if you are buying into any of this, I suggest you take a break from YouTube for a few days, get some fresh air, take a walk, and then step back in and see if you still fall for it the next time you look at it. Maybe we're all getting deprived of fresh air. I don't know.
I don't know. I've been outside the whole time.
That's because you're sharp and yeah, you see, you're the one explaining this for us. Okay, here we have a good one. Wanda says she should write an autobiography. One woman, 6 binders.
I love it.
I think on that note, we should say goodnight.
Wait, no, I think it was Wanda that had a book title earlier, and I kind of, oh, hey, girl, there you are, right on the screen. Oh, you came up with that. Man, you're on a roll. She came up with one earlier, and it was something about haircuts. I kind of tweaked it a little bit, but like the concept was really awesome. I turned it into haircuts optional. And then on the book cover, it has a big red cross through over the optional. That would be a cool book title.
Tipsy Toes has Bindergate. So this is cool. I don't know. I hope that we're not like coming across as just really kind of raunchy negative, but I think
hope not too. I think what people need to realize, like our hopes were up, and then it was like it was just
right.
a huge disappointment.
You get your hopes up, and then it's like you're torn down so fast.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm so disappointed because I actually.
It's like Cato's books. You think, oh, we're gonna see letters from Christopher, and then you don't. This was a book tonight.
Well, I held Ronnie and Cindy at a higher level than this. I held them higher than this. And so, like I said, I'm more disappointed in Ronnie than I am in Lana. Like Lana, who knows, whatever.
Do you think Cindy's on board, or is it all Ronnie? Because Ronnie's the only one that's been public.
Yeah, I don't think Cindy's on board with this at all. Cindy has spoken very, very poorly about Kim, what's her face, for a long time. She spoke with her for a couple, 3 months at first, and then she vowed she'd never speak to her again. I don't think Cindy was on board with any of this crap. I think that her daughter caught wind that there were lawyers lining up, and I think that her daughter activated her, quote unquote friends. I think Ronnie is going along with whatever the daughter wants.
Yeah, it does seem to be every time it's ever mentioned.
And yet, who is the person who is harassed, cut down, slandered? It's always Cindy. Cindy's always the one.
Yeah.
And you do know that Cindy has said to me that Jamie won't teach her how to use social media.
What?
That's
crazy.
Is kind of haunting to me. That Jamie won't teach her, because obviously yeah.
Hey, I wonder if SW and Jamie butt heads so much because they were very similar.
I'm thinking they're a lot more similar than we have talked about. Yeah, I think you nailed it right there.
What are you doing?
I have a feeling that Jamie is probably very much an SW.
Yeah. Ooh, and you know that just like that didn't sit right with Shanann because you can't out Shanann.
Right. Exactly, and maybe Jamie has a little bit of you can't out Jamie.
Exactly.
I mean, let's be real. Who fires their sister-in-law from the bridal party?
True.
Right.
That's kind of a recipe for a future of,
I wouldn't get my fiance sister, that's for sure. Hell no.
well, I mean, if you're going to invite your future sister-in-law, you're definitely not going to fire her. You'll smile and make it through, right?
Ooh, I would have definitely fired my ex-sister-in-law because she's a bitch.
But you would have never brought her on board in the first place.
That's true. That's true. I almost gave out too much information. Not gonna go there.
So think about this. If we have two shenanigans going on, then that would fit all of this, wouldn't it?
Hey, Minzy, what do you think about that picture I sent you earlier?
Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard I was like sounding like a
Right?
it was terrible. It was terrible.
amazing.
It was so terrible. Was that a patch on his thigh?
It sure was. That was a
Oh
thigh
my
patch.
What? What picture?
It was a bad picture. I think Shenanigan Maker is like really nasty.
Shenanigan Maker. I'm gonna put my email in the private.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll email it to you. It was pretty good.
I love you guys. I just found the part where I can see the little thingy.
The little private chat.
Yeah, I didn't know that was
Yeah,
there
I
either.
just saw that. I'm like, oh, you guys are so cute. I was gonna put ditto, but then I thought, wait, I think the one who said ditto died. I can't remember.
What?
Didn't the one who, or I can't remember. Remember the Demi Moore, and Patrick Swayze movie? And
Oh yeah. Their words. Their instead of "I love you too," they'd say "ditto."
right. And one of them died, right? Didn't he die? Yeah.
Yeah, he died.
And so I almost put ditto, and I thought, wait, didn't some? Yeah, I think they died after they said that. So because that was the last thing they said.
I thought I was very superstitious. You're very superstitious.
Not at all. No, I have a memory that I remember details of stuff
Yeah.
that are. Do you too?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. People say, "Oh wow, that's wonderful. You're lucky," and it's like, no, it's a curse. It's a curse.
Yeah.
So things kind of come to my brain that it's like, oh yeah, what year was that? Oh, 1942. No.
I love
Yeah.
that movie.
My nickname, well, maybe it's self-proclaimed, but I call myself the Rain Man.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Seriously. No kidding. Yeah. And it does it. Well, I get called the nerd.
Yeah, I do.
People like calling me the nerd. It's like, I think that's probably why we loved law school though, because it's like the perfect place to be a nerd.
Exactly.
Oh,
I miss those days. Don't miss those days.
Oh, it was hard. Oh, it was definitely hard.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. And
But it was wonderful.
Yeah, my very first class, the whole speech of how this will change your life forever. It'll change your relationships forever. It'll change your outlook, because we will change your way of thinking.
Right.
And,
it was that same, wasn't that class called Narcissism 101?
That's where we did learn that we were in the top, in the 3% of people who can even make it in the door.
Exactly.
Yeah, it might have been. But I remember sitting there thinking, not at my age, because I started, school in my 50s. I started law school in my 50s, okay?
Oh, wow.
So I thought, not at my age. Well, this is a long-term goal. I'm here. I've made it. Woohoo, right? And I remember hearing this thinking, well, that's probably true for the 24, 25-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably true. But at my age, no. I've been this person for decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
And oh my goodness, it is so true. And my best friend from law school is a young guy, probably, let me think how old he is. I can guess exactly. 42 years old now. But back then he was, let's see, how many years ago would that have been? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. He would have been 31. Okay. And he and I we just clicked. He's like my best buddy. And he and I were talking about this just the other day. That experience changed us. It changed everything in our lives. It does. It just does. So, beware if you're wanting to go to law school. It's going to change the way you think.
Yeah, so is practice. Practicing absolutely makes you a little hard.
With mediations for me, I would say I've learned so much. And before that, I was a court commissioner with, kind of the other side of it from mediations, because court commissioner, of course, is criminal with the PPOs and the search warrants and da-da-da. But the mediation part has been just every single mediation, I learned so much more, where I'm feeling like you think you've seen it all, and every case brings something more to the table where you're just going. I have this weird thing now. I don't know if you see this. This is why I was asking about the Zoom stuff the other day.
Yeah.
The parties don't even want to talk to each other.
Right.
Like, what's that about? Is this part of our new normal?
I don't know, because I haven't done a lot of the Zoom.
Well, I think part of the new normal is that they're able to distance. It's easier for them to distance, but it makes it kind of tough with the mediation when they don't even want to hear each other's voice.
Right.
It's not really the goal of our mediation here to encourage that. So yeah, anyway.
No, but I still had to continue getting dressed every morning.
Well, that's actually good though. I mean,
yeah.
I think it'll go. I don't know. The one on Monday is going to be Zoom. So that'll be kind of interesting.
I mean, honestly, even over criminal, I think family is what changes you the most. For me,
the family law?
Yeah.
I think so. I do. I mean, criminal, yes. When I was in law school, I helped one defendant in my third year, and I thought, oh, wow, this is where it's at. This is what I want, even though my long-term goal was with the whole mediation thing. But I just got turned on to the whole concept of criminal law. And I do enjoy, I've helped a couple of other lawyers doing things and stuff. I do enjoy criminal law. But I just, there's something about doing the family work. It's when I can help a couple realize that they're sounding like idiots and that they need to focus on their child. I don't call them names or anything, and they're not really idiots at all. They're perfectly normal with what's coming out of their mouths. But when I can help them realize it in a way that they both step it back a little bit and remember that, they were in love at one point because they created this beautiful child together. I do have a really narrow-minded view on one aspect of the whole post-separation warfare, and that is, as soon as the new girlfriend comes along, then it seems that all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They get along just fine.
Oh yeah.
They get along just fine. I have voicemails right now on my phone from the new girlfriend, and of course they're never the new girlfriend. They're always the fiance. And I always think it's funny when the divorce isn't even final yet, but they've already got the fiance self-proclaimed. As soon as the new one comes along, watch out. That kid becomes barter. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. My ex does mostly family, and I just can't do it. But the irony behind that is he literally makes money working with clients to obtain, let's say, because this is what's relevant, child support. And he owes me about $80,000 child support. I mean, is that irony not thick? But here's the
Oh,
thing.
that's hilarious.
He absolutely does not believe in child support. And I'm like, but it's just hilarious. It's hilarious because that's how you make your money, dumbass. Like, ridiculous. I mean, thank God I have a career. Can you imagine? I mean,
Well, that's one.
that doesn't even include the half of private school tuition he's supposed to pay that I pay all of it. So, I mean, that for a lot of people, that's a lot of effing money.
Well, that's one point. I think that either sex would do well to strive to be able to support themselves and their children without any dependency whatsoever on the other parent.
Well, my ex, he cheated on me when I was pregnant, so we ended up getting divorced when my daughter was basically a newborn, because blah blah, substance abuse issues, blah blah, normal attorney shit, normal attorney shenanigans with, substances, and so. Yeah, what would I have done say that was me and I didn't have a career in education? I can't imagine. So, like, man, super props to the women out there that are doing it and making it. Like,
exactly. And I'm not saying that you ever have to support yourself 1,000%. I'm saying make that your goal, make that what you strive for, so that you are not waiting for that to drop into your account. That when it drops into your account, it can be spent for the other stuff or stuck in the savings or whatever. So you're not depending on it for that. I think mentally speaking, that's one of the most freeing things you can do for yourself. Is to really work on your own career and take responsibility for it. Just take responsibility for it. You're the children's parent, then provide.
And you are a prime example. It's never too late.
Never exactly. And I will say this, though, it was a struggle for, I'm trying to think of my different friends. We had people flying in from all over the country who were accomplished already. And we formed kind of this little clique, which I don't know. It was a wonderful time. But in our little clique, we had a doctor from Southern Indiana, an MD. We had an MD from Texas. We had a nurse practitioner from Virginia.
Man, don't you hate overachievers?
We had, and I've had my own real estate company for a couple of decades. We had every profession covered. We had my best little buddy was an engineer with a pretty amazing track record, patents, the whole bit. A few of them were pilots. Just the pharmacist. We had one police officer. He was pretty fun. We had every occupation covered, and from really all walks of life, seriously. And it was an incredible experience. But like you said about that attrition rate, I was shocked by who dropped out. I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by who struggled. One of the MDs actually struggled. And
well, it's different brain function.
Yes. She had her own practice. She and her husband had their own practice. I mean, she was obviously very capable, but she struggled. You could tell. She covered it really well at first, but she did struggle, and ultimately then she decided to walk.
Aww.
Oh, we had a lot of people walking. Our clique did really well. We had a very low attrition rate in our little clique, and it helped. I think our clique helped us, each of us in the clique, because we were really kind of bonding.
Study group.
Yeah, well, not only study group, like we crashed together, we ate together, we lived and breathed for 3 or 4 days straight out of the week. We would pretty much it was fun. Well, it wasn't fun, it was hard work, but now I look back and go, oh, it was fun.
Yeah.
So,
I wish I could
yeah,
go back.
those were the days. But then year number 3, and this was shocking to me. If you're going to make it through years number 1 and 2, why on earth would you leave in year number 3, right?
No, I know.
And nobody in our clique did, but there were others who, well, actually, the nurse practitioner did. Why would you put in 2 years and then hang it up, you know?
What was her reasoning behind it?
Hers had to do, I think, with her own, she had a pretty successful business going with the whole like medical coding and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it had to do with something with her business.
Mm-hmm.
That was her reasoning. One, I don't know what she
finish, even if you're not going to practice. I mean, just finish it up.
Well, I think one of them, I don't know what she did for a living. She wasn't in our clique at all. But that's what I was going to say is that I would say probably 5 or 6 women who were older, and I would say older being like in their 40s or 50s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there were many in their 50s at all. I think they were mostly in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
I was older than they were. But 5 or 6 of them did leave. And it bothered me because I thought, come on, ladies,
Yeah.
right? Because you want to kind of help carry each other over the finish line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them left without saying a word. I ran into her at a grocery store one time, and I'm like, where have you been? And she said she decided to just take a year or two and just, regroup or whatever. And I thought, why?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Well, I don't know if it has to do with age or not. I think it does, and I think it has to do with your priorities at the time. But I found that people that attended law school that were older always did way better.
Well, I think the majority of the clique did it in 3.5 years. I did it in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom was dying in my 3rd year. And so I was really trying hard. I stacked on the credits big time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying hard to graduate before she died, and I just missed it. In fact, she died the end of February. So here we are. And I didn't graduate. I did the summer term, and then my graduation was in September. So I just missed it, but I did make it on the dean's list, and that really tickled her pink. I thought it was hilarious. I stacked on the credits, and I made it on the dean's list. It's like, something's wrong with that picture. It must be I do better under more pressure or something.
I do. I always do better under pressure.
I had so much, how you get to read like 50 pages of this and 80 pages of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had too many pages to read. Too many when I stacked on the credits, but I just figured I was trying to actually graduate so she could actually, well, it didn't matter. She was already telling everybody that I was a lawyer.
Oh.
She's like, my lawyer daughter. Yep, this is my lawyer daughter.
That's so adorable.
But you're right. It's never too late. It's, if anybody out there is thinking, wow, I wish I could, even Lana, it's never too late, honey.
Yeah.
Go get your LSAT book. And I hear one of the other channel creators has one sitting on her shelf, she said. So go get your LSAT book from the bookstore and just, bone up on it. Take the LSATs. You'll get a good scholarship.
Yeah.
Get you off YouTube for a while.
My brother didn't. He actually has 3 or 4 undergrad degrees, and he did not start. He just turned 30, and this is his 2nd semester.
Oh, good for him, though. Good for him.
Yeah, but I do have to say, he did lead my parents on for probably about 6 years, living off their bankroll, but like always keeping an LSATs book like in his car.
Well, you know what? He wanted to be a professional student because that would be kind of, that's kind of the new normal for the 20-somethings, I think.
Yeah, but I'll like, dude, everybody knows you haven't been studying for 6 years. Come on.
And your parents are like, oh, goody, he's going to
Yeah.
be a lawyer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it took him a while to catch on.
But oh my God, it's he probably even more than me was just like built for it. But I mean, I'd have to say I was too. So, oh my God, you do not want to be in our house on a holiday. Like, man, we go for blood.
I bet.
Not a pretty sight.
You guys really should just partner up as soon as he's, finished up with his education. You guys should partner up and just, go after it.
I think man, I'd rather cut my right arm off.
Well, you could encourage him to focus on child support, deadbeat parents,
Yeah.
and then he could just, swat your ex around a little bit.
I wish he would. I wish someone would. And well, the thing is my ex, he, works for himself. So when you work for yourself, you don't have, coming out of your salary. So he just doesn't. I mean, it's up to his discretion when he pays it, but it's just like it's just not worth it,
Well,
even
I'll
with
tell you,
us,
I'll tell
even
you
with us
something.
getting divorced, we had to go through, I believe it was, no, probably about 12 judges, because one of us at there was conflict between everybody.
Right. Well, the little town that I live in, the judges pretty much refuse to recuse themselves because they say if they started doing that, they'd have to recuse themselves from every case. They know everybody in town.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. Well,
But with the ex owing you money, that's actually a good thing. And it sounds kind of strange. Hear me out here.
mm-hmm.
But ex-spouses like to feel that they actually are in control.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason he's your ex, right?
Oh, definitely.
And whatever level of conflict there was, or for whatever reason, it's always good to let your ex feel like they're still in control.
Yeah. Well, it
helps.
He's I mean, like, through and through narcissist. Just like, whew, it's bad. So yeah.
So it's good. It's good for him to owe you money because that'll give him a focal point. That way he'll know that he's winning and he's
right.
Yeah. And it's always good to let him win about money because money doesn't matter.
Well, and he's lucky that I'm not someone that's just gonna ride his ass about it constantly, because I don't even bring it up. I mean, I couldn't even tell you my login to check for it. You know what I'm like?
Good.
Yeah.
That's healthy, and it's healthiest for your daughter too. That the two of you, that he can go ahead and have that energy focus on money and not on let's jerk you around on parenting time or whatever.
Right. And I, if I were to decide to move, or if he were to decide to move, actually, maybe not him. I don't know. I wouldn't care if he moved, but he honestly, he couldn't tell me I couldn't move. So
he couldn't what?
He couldn't tell me I couldn't move. I mean, for one, he owes me so much money. And
right, it'd be a hard thing for him to show that
right.
Yeah.
But me moving, I mean, the only reason I would move, which I mean would be the one of the only legal reasons to move, would be for financial gain, or if you were to go to school
Right.
or something,
Opportunity.
or
Right.
yeah,
Right. The whole opportunity for the improved. Yep.
right. So
Are you near your own family
well, uh,
or near enough, I should say?
no, actually, my parents live in Brazil.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And well, they have a house in Sao Paulo, and I know I can say this because I mean, eat shit dirt bags, but I mean, good luck going to Brazil. But in Rio, so
So
Sao
do
Paulo
they
and Rio.
do they come often?
Probably about every 4 to 6 months.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Because that far away, of course, it's like how often,
Yeah, yeah. My dad actually ships ketchup in.
I didn't hear you.
My dad ships ketchup in. Like the local restaurant they always eat at, they don't have ketchup. My dad gets it shipped in straight to the restaurant.
When you just said that, I had no clue what you said, but I heard you clearly. It's weird. My dad ships ketchup in. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah,
How interesting, though.
yeah. But they've got a really cool ketchup down there, and but it's spicy.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, I don't know what spicy ketchup, but he just gets the regular kind shipped in. But
It probably doesn't have like all the terrible junk in it.
probably
It's
not.
probably like,
They
tomatoes and
oh yeah,
spices.
they eat
Do you
so
remember when they made
healthy.
green and purple ketchup?
I do remember
Yes.
that. Yeah.
It did not taste good, and everyone said they couldn't taste the difference. I could.
Does it taste
I
like
never went near
Play-Doh?
it. I thought it was too weird looking.
It was gross.
It's kind of like the mix of peanut butter and jelly. The
Oh,
swirl.
yeah. Yeah, the swirl.
It's just because it's just wrong.
Although peanut
Peanut
butter,
butter and jelly go good together, though.
No, it is good when you mix it. When you put it and it mixes on your sandwich. But when it's like pre-packaged mixed, that's
Oh, like how
creepy.
they put it in the jar together.
Yeah. Mm. That's
although
like your food touching on your plate.
although the peanut butter and the marshmallow fluff was pretty good while that lasted.
Ooh,
I don't remember
that is
that one.
good.
That was huge, like back in I think the 70s, maybe. I'm not sure. That was a thing.
I'm like, I don't remember that. I wasn't born then.
It sounds kind of weird, but it was actually good.
No, it sounds good. I've been living off cereal lately. I haven't had time to cook.
Yeah, with the time that you put in.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about mediations too. It's more my speed because it's kind of like, sure, we can take 2 weeks to line this up and have a chat.
I only sleep about 3 to 4 hours a night. And the
That
way
is not okay.
well, that's the genius.
As long as you thrive.
Well, yeah, that's all the sleep that true geniuses need. It's documented fact, actually. But no, what I have to do is, because I have my daughter full time, most days, unless I'm in court or something, I pick her up at 3, and then I will start working again once I put her to sleep. And so, to make up for that time that I kind of allocate just for her, I put that in until around 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay. Well, I did 5 years straight of 5 hours a night, and I was fine. I was young. I was fine, but the hours I worked, and then my youngest I'm trying to think. Before my youngest was in school full time, I actually worked shift work, like, as a police dispatcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was doing the, midnight driving home,
Mm-hmm.
picking up the kids, and then up in the morning because my older kids were in school. So for 5 years, I did the 5 hours of sleep at night. I would say even more like 4.5 to 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. It was okay. But boy, I did appreciate my naps. I would do the napping whenever I could.
I do. I take a nap almost every day in my office. But I don't know.
But really, if you
I
can
do
increase
better on that. I do better on that amount of sleep than I do if I only get 6. So I either need to get a full night's sleep, or I need to get 3 or 4 hours. That in between just throws me off.
Well, we need to get you to the point where you're getting your full nights instead of. We're gonna start tonight by doing our part for Shenanigan Maker to get more sleep. We're gonna go ahead and say goodnight now. I'm exhausted.
Needing to walk. So.
This live chat is 3.5 hours.
Oh my God, that went fast.
Yeah. I know it. I think because we were all livid at what we saw.
Yes.
I hope it didn't
don't worry about it. This is the no worry zone.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I know. I think I sounded harshest of all, but you know what? I think it's okay for them to hear the reaction to it, and it'll help them tone it down maybe, because when they're trying to pull a scam, maybe they shouldn't be so obvious.
Right. Yeah.
I just got harsh again.
Well, I think everybody kind of needs a touch of a hard truth sometimes. I mean, how else do you make change?
Well, and I think that Ronnie needs to stop it. I do. I think we've all been polite long enough. So stop it, Ronnie. Just stop it. Please stop it. And Cindy, I know you're gullible. Stop being gullible. And Jamie, whatever you're pulling, stop it.
Yeah.
And Chris, quit listening to your family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris, the truth would help. The truth would help.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do. If he's not, I just wish they would let him when he's ready. Because he's not going to fight unless he's ready. And if he's not going to fight, then there's no point in doing it.
I think that they evidently have some sort of strange connection. I think, what is this? Did you ever know that prisoners could talk so much on the phone?
No.
Oh.
I never heard of such a thing.
Half an hour, 45 minutes, 3 hours. I didn't know they could have that long of visits.
And so often, and to so many people, what's going on? Is he in the Hilton or something?
Well,
sounds like it.
I mean, I know here because I have to go to the jail all the time. But of course, I mean, I know it's not the same, but absolutely do not get so many luxuries.
Yeah, so it seems kind of weird that he has such access. And then I think if he's hanging on the phone with his parents, I'm calling you tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm calling you tomorrow night. Yeah. Why is he calling his parents all the time? For Pete's sake. He's 34 years.
You want to know a fun fact? Did you know that women's prisons are 100 times more disgusting than men's?
I bet so.
I think they're much more underfunded, but they're just absolutely disgusting.
Well, I think if you take a look, though, somebody like Christopher Watts, he's used to cleaning house, doing laundry, and getting yelled at. Mm-hmm. So in prison, he can, clean his little square and make sure his laundry's all folded and whatnot, and not get yelled at, really.
Well,
So I think,
Aaron Hernandez, do you remember where he like thrived in prison? Like he loved having like that small space, and he loved like the consistency and the order, and I
so
mean
just
maybe Chris is the same.
so just think about what that says about our society. If men are functioning at a high level in prison,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and, and women can't handle it. So,
Yeah.
think about society as a whole. Women are evidently on the outside used to getting their way and not having to do what they're supposed to do and whatever. Men
Yeah.
are regimented and,
Yeah.
want order.
Oh man, those women are nasty bitches. Ooh.
Well, I'm
Ugh.
telling you, the pendulum has swung pretty far. That, it has. It needs to swing back just a little bit. And I think women need to maybe take a little more responsibility for how they're treating their hubbies.
Well, yeah. Man, I honestly think I think feminism has actually set women back.
I do too. I do too.
So
Well, back in the day, I love saying that. Back in the day, oh my gosh, I sound like my grandmother. But back in the day, you could choose to be a stay-at-home mom, or you could choose to be a career woman. It was difficult to choose both, but you could do it. And people would applaud you and go, "Oh wow," or else they'd hate your guts because they were stay-at-home mom and they didn't have a career, so they'd think you were some kind of lesbian or something.
right.
If you wanted a career, or else you slept your way, you slept with the president of the company in order to
Yeah.
get the promotion. There was all sorts of mommy wars going on. But I really think that women had it better when we weren't expected, because then it
Yeah.
gradually got more where you were expected to work, right? I think we
Right.
had it better back before women had careers, because
Right.
really, a friend of mine in her 80s has said to me, and she was highly accomplished. She went to the University of Michigan, very, very amazing family. And
Oh,
she said to me one time that women earned the right to both work and have to take care of everything at home.
Right.
It's like it used to be you could do one or the other there in the interim. But
Mhm.
even back in the day where it was your job to take care of the home, you could still work. You just
Mhm.
had to do it all, And it's too bad, because not that long ago, families could make it on one income just fine.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago.
Well, with spousal abuse too, I think the demise of like of the marriage was feminism also. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking this, but when that was my dog, he got an ear infection. Um, but like, and I hate to put it this way, but like you knew your place, you know, like
Yeah,
there was specific uh
yeah. Roles.
parameters and
There were
roles.
roles, yes.
Exactly.
Well,
And
there are many people who do believe that the downfall to, the family dynamic, the family itself, was the invention of the automatic washing machine.
huh.
And you can carry that through in a serious discussion, and it works. It works because
Really?
women had more time, because
Yeah.
before the automatic washing machine, they were busy taking care of their families. And
Right.
that freed them up, and they started bitching. And I know that sounds really sexist, and
Yeah.
it is, but it freed them up. They had some extra energy to do some heavy duty bitching.
Yeah.
And then they hung out with each other a little bit more. And they learned that so and so Sally down the street had it better, or so and so Sally on the other end of the street had it worse. And it changed. The quilting bees turned into bitch fests. And pretty soon, the
You got
one who
him.
was Well, yeah, like us, right? The cronies.
Yep.
But then I think the bottom line is I think it was 1959 when the pill was
Oh yeah, yeah,
was
I
it
agree.
59? I think it was. With the sexual revolution, I think it was like there was no looking back, you know.
Right, right.
And then
But
in the
even the
70s,
way,
I think
even the way that you would speak to your spouse, you know, like back then, do you think any wife would treat their husband like Shanann treated Chris?
never,
Never.
never. I also don't think that a husband would have even thought of, I mean, not every, of course, whatever, but for the most part, I think if a spouse was to treat their spouse, if a man or a woman was to treat their spouse with disrespect, it was the marriage they were disrespecting. It was their family they were disrespecting. And yeah, I mean, I have a friend who has a wife who is she'll make jokes and she'll say things as joking, I guess, in a way. And she's really smart and she's really sarcastic, kind of smart, you know. And I think sometimes it hurts his feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've said to him, if you were a woman, if you were a female friend, I would be telling you this is not okay. You know.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah,
And people aren't stepping up enough and inserting themselves. And uh, I don't know. I don't think I don't maybe this is wrong, but people that are mandatory reporters maybe aren't taking their job as seriously as they should. I could be
I
wrong.
would you say that they're not taking what?
They're not taking their job as seriously as they should.
Their job as a husband or a
As a
wife, you mean?
mandatory, oh no, mandatory reporters aren't taking their
Oh,
job as seriously as they should because
I'm sorry.
I
Okay, I
mean,
missed
there's
it.
so many situations where there were, you know, people that should have been more involved or taking action that just kind of don't.
Right. Well, every true crime case that I've looked at, I can pretty much point and find one who failed.
Right.
You know, there's the Rosenbaum case where the next door neighbors, the woman was a nurse and her daughter was also a nurse, and they were standing out in the driveway one day when the abuser carried the injured child over, and she testified that she knew that the injuries couldn't have been caused the way she described it.
Mm-hmm.
Two RNs totally ignored it. And she did say, well, she checked on her the next day to make sure she took her to the doctor. That isn't how mandatory reporting works.
Right.
And she didn't take her to the doctor, but she lied to her and told her that she did. And
Right.
she figured that was good enough. So, and that little girl ended up it was either her or her little sister. I can't remember. The little sister ended up dead, but I can't remember which one for sure she had carried over to the neighbor because it scared her how bad she had beat her.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really valid point. And even if you think of just the regular medical profession, do they have the training they need to really recognize this stuff?
Right. I was forget what article it was that I was reading today. I'm sure I'll find it sooner or later, but and it was kind of it was going along with kind of what we were talking about before we got cut off earlier. And so I had someone ask me the other day why Chris was compliant with
Oh, you
the abuse
mean
from
defining
Shanann.
the role?
Yeah,
Defining the role of the non-offending parent?
yes. And
Okay.
so in the article, it was saying that whenever you're looking at the family unit, you have to kind of take both parents out because yes, Chris or someone in his position should have stood up to Shanann. But it's the obligation of those around them far more than it is for Chris to take that position of action. You just have to take both parents out of that equation, basically because of abuse.
How do you feel about making it a crime? You know, we've talked about this, I think, for probably a decade or so, making it a crime to not leave the abuser.
Well, I think there's far too many factors in play that puts the other spouse, I mean, if someone is abusing their children, what do you think the percentage would be that they're also abusing their spouse?
They're
I would
abusing
say
the
pretty
spouse.
high.
Well, they're abusing the spouse before the children.
Right. So putting that role on them to just leave is kind of like saying, well, Chris should have had balls.
Well, not to just leave, but to criminalize not leaving.
Right.
Because one side of the argument has been that it will be what it takes for them to be able to leave. The other side of the argument is they'll never tell what's happening.
Right.
That's the danger in it.
Yep. Wish I could
It's
find
a
this
tough
article.
one.
It's really good.
It's a tough one because obviously if they are the Chris in the relationship, they may not have the tools to leave.
Right.
But maybe a law that might, because I think this is my opinion on the case of Christopher Watts. I think that hearing that was coming up for the ongoing family matter, I think that his wife's parental rights were about to be either terminated or severely restricted. And I think that when he told her that was it, whether it was by starting the truck and pulling it into the driveway or walking away from her when she was in the fit of rage, or whatever the second of it was that was the tipping point, I think that his choice to leave her had nothing at all to do with NK, and I think it had everything to do with the fact that he was not going to lose Bella and Cece.
Right. I found this. It says there appears to be some collective agreement that those outside of the family have a responsibility in safeguarding those who cannot defend themselves. It feels a bit more muddled in applying these rules to family members.
And it's interesting, too, because the person who is abusing the other person probably has family members who are looking at it like it's not so bad, or it's okay, or whatever, minimizing. Because that person may have already abused the other family members, or the family members may have taught that person this is how you do it,
Well, I thought this was good too. It says verbal abuse can be ever so subtle, yet it leaves the victim in a lot of pain and confusion. Believing in a different reality where people reason and communicate in rational ways with each other, the victim tries to make sense of his or her abuser's treatment, not understanding that sometimes other people's mean behavior makes no sense, has no rational explanation, and has nothing to do with him or her. But the victim so badly wants to make sense of the behavior that he or she doesn't put an end to it, instead of continuing to search for the explanation of what could have caused the abuser to treat him or her that way. The victim,
There's a history with what you're saying, too.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, I should call this channel Back in the Day. Back in the day, there was a big research study that was planned, I think, for the end of the 70s, maybe. I think is when it was. Maybe, I don't know for sure. Might have been in the 80s, but I think it was the late 70s. And there were literally millions of dollars allocated for this big research study because they were going to find out why abusers, and back then, the men, why the men were abusing their wives.
Mm-hmm.
And the government ponied up millions of dollars. The research study started, and they were getting zero cooperation from the men
Mm-hmm.
because they were abusive men. So, like, they're not going to do what they're told to do, especially being told by a bunch of college co-eds. Okay.
Right.
And so, midstream, they're risking the millions of dollars in
Mm-hmm.
research funds, and they freaked out. And they changed everything up quick and tried desperately to save the millions of dollars. So they were able to get it approved to preserve their big research funding, okay, by studying why women stay.
Mm-hmm.
For at least a decade or two, the only research studies that existed were on why women stay. Because they learned from that they didn't want to risk the whole research thing,
Mm-hmm.
their funding, by trying to get a bunch of abusive men to cooperate with them. Okay. So unfortunately, what that produced was research study after another on with this fallacy that anybody would choose to stay. So as you're reading this, I'm thinking, ooh, this looks like it's coming from that bank of work, just the part of it, the little segment of it about trying so hard to make an excuse for why.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens when you're familiar with the fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they're in fight, flight, or freeze, whatever, and depending on which phase of the cycle they're in, whether it's the honeymoon phase or, because the abusers are excellent at reading their victim and delivering what needs to be delivered to basically prevent that sense of needing to make a change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have exhaustion, you have isolation, you have
Yeah.
the dehumanization that has already taken place, you have the blurring of the boundaries which has taken place. So sometimes they're taking on the negative for the relationship while the abuser has taken on any positive traits. So you
Mm-hmm.
have all these things to go with, and then what you have is you have an abuse victim turning toward the abuser, much like the Stockholm syndrome,
Right.
for the answers. And typically the abuser will answer that had they not tripped, they wouldn't have fallen down the stairs.
Right.
To be overly dramatic, with that. So yeah, it's all sorts of little pieces to the puzzle.
Did you know that it takes give or take 7 attempts of leaving an abusive relationship before someone actually takes the steps for real leave?
How I've learned the number 7, and this is from years ago,
Mm-hmm.
is that it takes 7 incidents of physical violence before they'll call for help.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
The magic number of 7.
right, and I'm curious about that too, because when I was working as a court commissioner, some of the requests for a protection order,
Mm-hmm.
it was the first time. So
Hmm.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that. And two, I think it's important to kind of dig in and learn a little bit about the whole research funding, because I do think that we, in a lot of ways, are being lied to about certain basic
Right.
truths.
Well,
You know,
I just looked it up, and it says many abused people leave and return several times before permanently separating from the abusive partner. In fact, it takes many survivors approximately 7 attempts before they actually leave their abusive partner permanently.
I have never heard that. I've always heard that it's 7 incidents before they call for help.
Isn't that crazy though? That is both 7.
That is weird.
Yeah.
That is weird. Well, off subject a little bit, but along the same lines. Do you believe that women are paid less than men?
I think that it I think it depends on the company. Depends on if it's a large corporation. I mean, because some larger corporations they get paid money for hiring women, which would bring an incentive for higher pay.
Right. Right, but overall, across the United States, do you think that women are afforded equal opportunity?
I I don't know if I can actually answer that like with my personal knowledge, only because I've only ever really worked for myself. So firsthand, I wouldn't really have
If
knowledge of
if
it,
you were taught that women
but I would
make
probably say no.
if
But I don't know. I don't
if you
know.
were taught that women make 72% of what a man earns, would you believe it?
Probably.
That's what they're teaching in the universities, that women in the United States make 72%.
But I kind of maybe don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't believe it for a second. I
Yeah.
don't believe it for a second. I think that a woman in the United States has every opportunity to make
Right.
as much as a man. I think what happens is that they get fed up quickly and they move on. And
Well,
I,
yes, I
I
agree
think
with that. I think that they don't want to um, take the steps in a position to earn the pay grade they think they deserve, and so they
exactly.
quit.
And then they think because they're female
Right.
that they should be able to get the same. And I don't think that's right at all. I think,
But I think the men have had to, start from the bottom as well.
well, they start at the bottom and then they have to hold down the fort while the
Right.
women are, taking the summer off because it
Yeah.
works out better with her schedule or whatever. And
Mhm.
and then to use having children as the excuse for demanding the equal pay, right?
Mhm.
It's like, no, because that's a father that you're taking that away from.
Exactly.
So don't use the who had the baby routine. The father,
Right. Yeah.
so I think we're being
And
lied to.
yeah, and I think uh, when it's a person to person basis, because I mean you look at um and I hate to say this, but look at me and you, who took the time to put you know the hard work into getting the education and career that we
Exactly.
have. And I think that the women that are complaining about this, they're lazy. They just haven't put in the time, the effort, and so honestly, they don't have any room to talk unless they want to get out there and work their asses off like women that do make what men make. They need to sit down and shut up.
I agree that there's a lot of lazy going on. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of lazy. And I think too, even before I went to school, with my real estate company, I busted my butt. I
Mm-hmm.
busted my butt and built my own company. And when I did, I was the first female in town, and the guys were saying to me, the other brokers, "Are you sure you want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
That's really hard to do. It's a really tough exam. You sure, the classes and this and that." And I'm thinking, why wouldn't I do this? Why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't I want this? Is it because I'm female? And I spent quite a bit of time after that telling other women, do this,
Right.
please get your broker license. And, happily, quite a few of them did. But, if that's the reaction,
What do you think separates some women from being hardworking and achieving and accomplished? I don't know, goal oriented and driven, and what makes some women the complete opposite? Do you
I
think?
think it depends what our parents taught us to be. I think, I don't think we're born with a work ethic. I think we learn a work ethic from our parents, or it's expected of us, or it isn't.
Right.
I would be absolutely ashamed of myself if I was working at age 15. I was working at age 11, but not an actual job. At age 15, I had an actual job, and I went to beauty school, and I went to high school, and I was on the college prep, whatever. And I also, played a little basketball, whatever, right? You're not, you're not, and I worry about kids nowadays too, because with everything techno and with all this social distancing and stuff, we're teaching our kids to be lazy now.
Right. Yeah.
And, back in the day, I would ride my bike to school if my car didn't work. If my car had a problem, I had an old 65 Mustang. If it had a problem and my dad was off wherever at work and, whatever, and I would hop on my bicycle and get to school. I don't know of any kids nowadays who would do that if their car broke down.
No, they wouldn't go.
Right, right. It'd be a matter of, I need a car,
Right.
So yeah, I think lazy is a huge part of what's going on. But in fairness to the lazies, I do think that our food supply is really strange.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have way too many carbs and sugars and whatever, that I think that there's a little bit of, there's something weird about that. I also think all the technical stuff, like I personally don't think computers should be used so much in school. They're using, the whole tablets and computers whenever in grade school.
I
don't
think
think
all
they should.
the get rich quick schemes play into it as well, like with MLMs. They try and push that you don't have to get an education, you don't have to work hard, and you can retire at 32 and you get this free car, blah blah. Well,
Right. Nothing's free, and
right.
sure as heck not at least Lexus, that's for sure.
No. Mm-mm.
No, you're right. But I also think they play into the lazies. I don't think
Oh, I do
hard,
too.
I don't think hardworking people sign up for MLMs. I'm sorry, I don't.
Well, I mean, look at that look at that crew. I mean, you just look at that crew and you're like, nah, you're not hardworking.
Like, it's what they call work, I guess. Hang out on Facebook and
Right?
harass people for a few hours, and I guess that they call that work.
I can't understand the mentality you would have to do something like that. I mean, that's some ballsy shit.
But it's actually not ballsy at all, because ballsy is actually going for the job interview, getting the job. They can hide behind their screen with all their photoshopping.
But they know that everybody hates them.
Oh, I don't think so, because I think what they do is they blood suck for a while, they parasite for a while, and then they run back to their little safety of their gang to say, "Aren't we wonderful?"
Right, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think they're all delusional.
Yeah.
And I think it's the epitome of laziness, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you said, it's a get-rich-quick scheme, and it's saying, you don't even have to work, you don't even have to work.
You can be a stay-at-home mom and send your kid to school full-time.
Okay, you guys, we have to call this a day or a night or a morning.
Hank's tired.
4 hours and 9 minutes and this is part 2.
Yeah. It's been a long night.
I think that we should do like a Lana line. We should say, we worked so hard tonight.
We are better than 99.9% of women.
Oh my gosh, they're going to make a video about that now, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and say goodnight for the second time, even though it's actually morning Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have a great weekend. And I was going to say I'll pop on later, but you know what? I'm going to be taking a long nap.
Oh, yeah. Night, night, beautiful people. Oh, I love y'all so much.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Take care, be well, and all that.
Hank says bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.